क्योंकि उन्होंने विल बना के बंटवारा नहीं किया है। देन यू गो एज पर हिंदू सक्सेशन एक्ट, वहां पे जो शेड्यूल्स में अलग अलग पर्सन्स को उसका लीगल हेयर ट्रीट किया गया है, देन दे बिकम द ओनर, एंड दैट इज व्हाई दे हैव गिवन द रेफरेंस ऑफ हिंदू सक्सेशन एक्ट। करेक्ट बेटा? Ritika is asking property held as stock in trade means what? Okay. See, understand Ritika, I am a builder or developer. ठीक है? अब अगर मैं बिल्डर डेवलपर हूं, तो मैंने अगर एक बिल्डिंग बनाई जिसमें 100 फ्लैट्स है, वो 100 में से मेरे 75 फ्लैट्स बिक गए, 25 फ्लैट्स अभी भी नहीं बिके। सो इन माई बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स दीज 25 फ्लैट्स विल अपीयर एज माई स्टॉक इन ट्रेड। जैसे कोई भी दूसरा मैन्युफैक्चरर या ट्रेडर होता है गुड्स का, उसका जो सामान नहीं बिकता है, उसका जो गुड्स उसके पास उसके गोडाउन में, उसके शॉप में, उसके फैक्ट्री में पड़ा रहेगा, ही ट्रीट्स दोज गुड्स एज स्टॉक इन ट्रेड। इन द सिमिलर फैशन फॉर अ बिल्डर, जो भी अनसोल्ड फ्लैट्स या ऑफिसेज या शॉप्स उसने बनाए हैं जो नहीं बिके, दैट इज हिज स्टॉक इन ट्रेड। करेक्ट रितिका? Asta is again asking, sir, premium on lease is leasehold rights correct, or just for more than 12 years leasehold rights? No, no, beta. See, you are mixing two things. If I am taking any property on lease, the leasehold rights are always my asset. There is no doubt. Now we are talking about whether that building is my asset. Answer is no. As per any accounting or any other principle, you will not consider it as your assets in your books, in your balance sheet. आप उसको asset नहीं बताएंगे. First point. However, only for the purpose of paying tax under the head HP, अगर आपके पास कोई बिल्डिंग लीज पे है, वो आपका असेट नहीं है, मगर अगर वो बिल्डिंग का लीज पीरियड 12 साल से ज्यादा का है, तो इफ यू आर गिविंग दैट बिल्डिंग ऑन रेंट फर्दर, तो उससे आने वाला इनकम एचपी हेड में टैक्स होगा। अगर उसका लीज पीरियड 12 साल से कम है और आपने वो बिल्डिंग आगे किसको रेंट पे दी, तो उससे आने वाला रेंट एचपी हेड में टैक्स नहीं होगा, फिर वो अदर सोर्सेस में जाएगा या वो पीजीबीपी में जाएगा। सो दैट इज व्हाट इज द पॉइंट। राजवीर इज आस्किंग, सर 2 years फ्रॉम कंस्ट्रक्शन इज कंप्लीट, क्या उसके आगे क्या लिखा है? नो इट विल बी लेविड। बेटा राजवीर, आपका क्वेश्चन क्या है? सर 2 years फ्रॉम कंस्ट्रक्शन इज कंप्लीट, नो इट विल बी लेविड। व्हाट इज नो इट विल बी लेविड? सी आई एक्सप्लेन यू द पॉइंट, मे बी अगर उससे क्लियर होता है तो। इफ यू आर अ बिल्डर, आपके पास अभी जो मैंने एग्जांपल दिया कि मेरे पास 25 फ्लैट्स अनसोल्ड है, सो वो 25 फ्लैट जो मेरे अनसोल्ड है, दोज फ्लैट्स विल नॉट बी कंसिडर्ड एज माई deemed to be let out property for 2 years from the end of the year in which the construction is completed। तो जिस साल मेरे फ्लैट्स बन के पूरे हुए, उस साल के एंड के बाद अप टू 2 years हम उसे डीम टू बी लेट आउट ट्रीट नहीं करेंगे। आप उसे 2 साल में बेच देते हो, मैटर क्लोज। अगर 2 साल तक भी वो नहीं बिकता है, देन आफ्टर दैट you will be required to pay tax on those unsold flats as if they are deemed to be let out. I hope, Rajveer, I could make it clear. So if you're asking, sir, for 2 years from construction is complete, yes, so you're right. पहले 2 साल तक हम उसे deemed to be let out treat नहीं करेंगे, so no tax. Asta is saying, sir, in Hindu Succession Act, it is written taxable for HF, but for holder of impartible estate is for individual. Beta, वापस you are mixing two things. HUF is one more concept arising out of Hindu Succession Act, and then there is one more concept called as holder of impartible estate, which is for individual. You are exactly right. So HUF अपने आप क्रिएट नहीं होने वाला है, प्लीज रिमेंबर दिस। HUF तभी क्रिएट होता है जब HUF के नाम पे कोई भी गिफ्ट करके या विल बना के वो प्रॉपर्टी ट्रांसफर करता है। ये एक बहुत बड़ा मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग है कि सिर्फ अनडिवाइडेड फैमिली होने से अपने आप HUF बन गया, ऐसा नहीं होता है। सो डोंट मिक्स बिटवीन द टू थिंग्स, make it clear. HUF is coming out of Hindu Succession Act, correct? In the similar fashion, Hindu Succession Act has also provided कि जब किसी की भी डेथ होगी, तो उसके प्रॉपर्टी का पार्टीशन में कौन कौन लोगों का कितना हिस्सा रहेगा, उसके पीछे जो लोग भी है लीगल हेयर्स, उसमें किसका कितना हिस्सा रहेगा, दैट इज ऑल्सो प्रोवाइडेड इन हिंदू सक्सेशन एक्ट। द प्रॉब्लम इज वी आर अज्यूमिंग कि जो कुछ भी इनहेरिटेड है सब कुछ एचयूएफ है, दैट इज नॉट करेक्ट। सो इसलिए वो कभी भी ऐसा नहीं होगा कि किसी भी पर्सन की इनहेरिटेड प्रॉपर्टी एचयूएफ ही बनेगी, दैट इज नॉट करेक्ट। एंड दैट इज वेयर द होल्डर ऑफ इम्पार्टेबल एस्टेट पॉइंट विल कम। So both things are coming out of Hindu Succession Act only, and both are two different points. Soumya, sir, a person takes two loans for construction and repair separately, 2 lakhs and 50,000. Individually, he will get 2 lakhs and 30,000 deduction, but in aggregate, how much deduction he can claim? Good point. बेटा अगर आपके दोनों घर सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड है तो आपको जो टोटल लिमिट अवेलेबल है, बिकॉज वन ऑफ द लोन इज फॉर कंस्ट्रक्शन, द टोटल लिमिट इज 2 lakhs। नाउ इफ यू हैव ऑलरेडी पेड 2 lakhs and 50,000, जिसमें से आपका 30 एलिजिबल है क्योंकि सेकंड वाला घर रिपेयर्स के लिए यूज किया है, इन दैट पर्टिकुलर केस दोनों मिला के भी आपका एग्रीगेट डिडक्शन 2 lakhs ही होगा, क्योंकि जो टोटल लिमिट है 2 lakhs या 30,000 की वो दोनों घर मिला के है। अब अगर आपका एक ही घर में वो 2 lakhs पूरा यूज हो गया है, तो दूसरे घर का लोन आपने कंस्ट्रक्शन के लिए लिया हो, रिपेयर्स के लिए लिया हो, या किसी के लिए भी लिया हो, you don't have the limit left. I'm answering this assuming both the houses are self occupied. अगर उसमें से एक भी घर लेट आउट या डीम टू बी लेट आउट हो जाता है, the answer will be different because in study material they have given in aggregate. That is what I'm saying, बेटा। सौम्या, सो आपका अगर एक घर का 2 लाख है, दूसरे घर का 50,000 है, दोनों सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड है, दोनों में से अगर एक घर कंस्ट्रक्शन के लिए लोन लिया हुआ है, तो आपको टोटल दोनों घर का मिला के बेटा 2 लाख ही मिलेगा। लास्ट लेक्चर में भी वी हैड डिस्कस दिस कि 2 lakhs इज पर असेसी, नॉट पर हाउस। सो इफ बोथ आर सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड प्रॉपर्टीज, मुझे दोनों का मिला के 2 lakhs ही मिलेगा, 30,000 50,000 नहीं मिलेगा। सो यू आर राइट व्हाट यू आर सेइंग। एम आई क्लियर बेटा? ओके, सुपर। Yes, students. Anybody else? Any questions about any of the pointers? Anybody? Any doubts on any of the pointers, any of the provisions that we have been discussing till now? Please feel free to put across. No doubts? Yes, good evening, beta. So, should we start today's session? Today, we have one of my favorite topics in the income tax law. That is PGBP, which actually the law has worded it as income from the law has worded it as income from business and profession, or profits and gains from business and professions. So that is how we get the short form of PGBP. That is profits and gains from business or profession. Okay. Asta, sir, I have a query in salary. Is as in that reimbursement of medical expenses or of any kind of reimbursement will be included while calculating RFA? No, beta, because reimbursement of expenses are perquisites, and while computing RFA, you do not include perquisites. Milan is asking, sir, need WhatsApp group link. Beta, Milan, that will be shared with you by our technical team. Priyansh is asking, sir,
Share it within 2 minutes.
we will not practice IFSP. See, Priyanshi, we had two lectures allocated. So we have consumed those two lectures for understanding the topic in depth. I had taken the practicals relating to computation of GAV and interest. Yes, I understand you're talking about the total HV computation. So I'll request that you please practice it from the module. And in any session ahead, wherever you have any questions, I will address it in the class. Okay. So now, students, we go to my favorite topic, one of the favorite topics from income tax, that is the business head, the PGBP head. Now, what is very interesting about the business head is that in your real life as a professional, if you are practicing, you will face majority of your income tax clients coming to you for PGBP only. And that is why this head gains a lot of practical relevance when it comes to your practice. Because in practice, very rarely you will have clients who will be coming for computation of salary because their entire salary computation is done by the employer because they have to do TDS. A salaried client will come to you only if that salaried client has some issue with the computation or that client has something in addition to what he has disclosed to his employer. Second is house property. Generally, very rarely you will have clients who have independently only house property income. They generally have it with salary. They generally have it with business. Yes, you may get client independently for capital gain because capital gain does not happen every year. So there may be a person who may be otherwise not having any taxable income or the income would be below the taxable limit. So he or she is not required to file returns. But in a particular year, when he has made sale of any capital asset, suddenly he has the exposure of capital gains. So you may get clients for capital gains also, but then capital gain does not happen every year. And then last had other sources. Again, independently, other sources clients will not be there. Generally, they are the ones who are already having as their major source salary or major source PGBP. And along with that, they have other sources. But yes, there are certain clients whose major source of income is investment income, either because they are retired or either because that is how they work. In that case, maybe one or two clients will get whose major source is other sources, but generally other sources is also clubbed with other heads. That is, you will have a client who is having other heads also, like majorly salary or PGB. Now, as a practicing CA, the major clients that you will have who will be coming to you for computing income are the one who are having business income or who are the one who are running business. And then alongside business, they may have other heads like HP also, they may have capital in one of the years, they may have, and other sources generally they have. Now, your questions also, even in the paper, generally the first question, which is compulsory, many times covers a 14-mark comprehensive sum. And when I say comprehensive sum, what I mean by comprehensive sum, it is the sum which requires computation of total income. And that is why it is, I'm calling it as comprehensive. Okay. Now, so when we are studying PGBP, we have to study PGBP keeping in mind the comprehensive sum. Now, broadly in PGBP, the question that is given to you in exam is, they are giving you a trading P&L account already prepared because generally the client will come with you. And in that, you will find many line items. Finally, the net profit. Again, many line items here. Other way around, the sum may directly give you net profit amount. And along with that, it will give you additional information about how this net profit is calculated. That is, it will give you additional information about the debits and credits in the P&L, which has led to this net profit. So broadly, you have two types of questions. Both these are part of the comprehensive sum, which is generally the compulsory sum, 14 marks. And you can say that it is a PGBP sum, but I believe it is a comprehensive sum because it will cover all other heads adjustment. Now, we will try to look at PGBP with perspective of PGBP also and also with the perspective of comprehensive sums. Now, When you are given any question in the exam like this, where either you are given trading P&L and you are having the net profit figure, or you are given the net profit figure and then the details of trading P&L in the form of additional information, what is asked from you is computation of your total income and total tax liability or the final tax liability. Now, please understand, students, the biggest or the major difference between your accounts and your income tax. The major difference between accounts and income tax is accounts do not have the concept of heads. Like how we have in income tax, we have bifurcated our incomes into five broad categories. Accounts never does that. That is why in accounts we'll have the net profit of the entire entity without having the bifurcation of what is your salary, what is your house property, what is your capital, etc. Everything is clubbed here. So whatever are all your sources of income, it may fall under different heads of income tax, but as far as accounts is concerned, since there are no heads, everything is part and parcel of this trading P&L. Please understand this first. Now, if you have understood this, then comes the next part. Now, when in the question you are required to do computation of income, and we know in computation of income, we need to first compute our income headwise. Our first role is that we segregate the data given in the question, either in the form of P&L or either in the form of net profit along with adjustments. We need to segregate this into our heads. So your first role in the exam is from the given data in the question, you should be able to mark that, okay, this item on credit and this expense on debit is pertaining to HP. So that I will consider these three figures in my HP head computation. Then maybe these three items are pertaining to other sources. So I will consider them in my other sources computation. Then there is one item over here, profit on sale of building. We generally find this in our accounts, profit on sale of building, or something on the debit side, loss on sale of machinery. You have to remember that it will fall in your fourth head, that is capital gain. So you have to consider that particular thing in the capital gains computation. Generally, in PGBP, there is very rare chance that you'll also have salary, because practically also a person who is in business cannot also be in job parallelly. So in majority of the sums, comprehensive sums, either you have PGBP and other heads or you'll have salary and other heads, but you will not have PGBP and salary both. However, there is no such rule. A person may be into job and part-time the person may also be doing business. So parallelly, you may have both. So I'm not completely denying, but generally it is seen that you will not have both together. But even if both are together, so again, what is your role is that if you find any income pertaining to salary, you have to remember that it will again fall in a different head. Now, when I say it will fall in a different head, it means that when you're doing your computation of income, you'll have a separate working note for each of these heads. So calculation of salary, then calculation of HP, calculation of PGBP, calculation of capital gains, and so on. So please understand this, that you will be required to do computation headwise following the respective formats of each head. And the first most important thing that you are supposed to do and which you should now expertise in is segregating this, that okay, this data is pertaining to some other head. Why to do this? One, so that you can take up the data in the respective head to do their calculation. And then second purpose of segregating this is once you have segregated that, okay, this data is pertaining to some other head, once you remove this data, the balance data which is left over here will be required for PGBP computation. Preet is asking, sir, whether investors would like to see the account from the accounting point of view or more likely from the tax point of view. Remember one thing, Preet, not only investor, any external body, be it a bank, be it your investor, be it your present shareholder, be it taxation authorities, maybe not taxation authorities, but still even taxation authorities, everybody wants your data from accounting point of view only. Understand why. See why they do not want your data tax point of view, because firstly, there is no P&L balance sheet of tax. No P&L balance sheet is prepared by Income Tax Act as such. We have the accounting P&L balance sheet only. So firstly, there is no accounts from the tax point of view. Second point is that whenever the investors or bankers or creditors or anybody related to you is wanting to know your financial position, your financial position, they will come to know from your accounts only, because your accounts will be giving your financial position, not the taxation. So answering you, Bunnypreet, so all the authorities, all whoever they are, they will require your data only and only from the perspective of accounts and not from the perspective of tax. Is this clear, Beda? I hope I have answered your question and you have understood it. Your doubt is resolved. Fine. So that means we classify heads for tax purposes. Exactly, better. That is what is I'm trying to explain. I just mentioned that accounts will never have heads. Have you seen any heads till now in your 4 or 5 years of accounting life? Answer is no. You got to know about heads just 1 month, 2 months before when you started studying income tax. Not even in GST, not even in your erstwhile service tax or sales tax or excise. None of the other taxes have heads. Only and only income tax law has the concept of heads. Fine, beta? So now coming back to the point, because please understand, before we study PGBP, you have to look at PGBP from the perspective of your exam question. Because if we independently study PGBP, then when you are actually looking at the exam question, it may not be clear of how to approach it. So I'm first giving you the approach. So the approach is from the given data in whatever format they have given, whether in trading panel or in additional information. So in additional information, various information points you'll have to mark it that, okay, this pertains to HP. These and these are other sources details. This pertains to capital gains. This is how you have to identify, you have to segregate the data pertaining to respective heads. And once you have done that, once you are able to do this skillfully, then will come the PGBP head. So I hope this part of my discussion, deliberation about how the question would be and how you will approach to it is clear to everyone. Okay, great. Today, why the class is so silent? I'm not getting much inputs from your side. I like a class which is interacting with me, either asking doubts or at least putting some comments. Yes, sir. No, sir. Understood. Not understood. Please explain again. Something from your side so that I will understand that yes, my class is with me. It is not that they are sitting somewhere else and they have just put on this particular webinar. Today's date is what? 17th. Okay. So I cannot say that you all are watching Kesari 2 because that will be released tomorrow. PGBP creates cautiousness. Okay. Sir, please give some more insights on how to approach exam-oriented question. Soumya, that we are As we go ahead, we are dealing with that only. A little nervous. Bapre, suddenly you all have got very emotional. Fearful. Bapre, what has happened? Suddenly, the moment I asked you all to interact, you all have started putting. Okay, so do you all mean to say that PGBP is something which is creating this nervousness, fearfulness, what other words? Cautiousness. Is it PGBP? Acha, oh, Priyanshi is saying, sir, I don't know why this chapter is giving vibes of difficulty. I know, Priyanshi. You know what? Why this chapter is giving vibes of difficulty? Because you have seen the number of pages, right? You have seen the number of pages. Maybe before coming to class, you would have just tried to read something from this chapter, and suddenly, as you started scrolling, you suddenly found that this chapter is not ending, and there is so much, so much, so much, and everything is written. No diagram. Very rarely you have some charts. Is that the reason which is giving you all these vibes? Fearfulness, nervousness, humongous tables. Wow, excellent. Sir, this chapter is quite large according to module, not beta according to module, the law. It is largest chapter. In fact, this and capital gains. Right? Okay. Chalo. Now, since you all have touched such an emotional side, let me also get carried away by emotion and commit you something. See, normally it is said that you should never commit something emotionally. But since you all have made me so much emotional, I'll commit you something emotionally. Give me 2 sessions. Y'all will become very comfortable, and some of y'all may even expertise in this chapter. Give me 2 sessions. But when I say 2 sessions, I need your 100%. तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा. Something like that. You give me your 100% time dedication. Not only now, whatever I'll ask you to read after the class, please be 100%. See the impact, what will be there after 2 lectures. I started saying this, that this is one of my favorite topics. And the reason is that other people consider this, other students consider this as something very difficult, something which they are not able to handle, manage, understand, whatever, whatever. But this is where I really took it as a challenge. And this is where this chapter became my favorite chapter, because I could devise a technique how I could understand the whole thing. I will not say remember, because remembering will require extra efforts of learning, but that will also happen with practice, with repetition. But at least I could understand. So, whatever vibes you are getting, that is purely because of seeing the size of the chapter, the number of pages, and like somebody said, humongous table, I'll say humongous data. So, don't worry. I am giving you this promise. Just be with me 2 sessions, and whatever after the session I'm asking you to do, I assure you, you will start liking the chapter. Now, there is one big difference between your liking something and my liking something. Maybe as a student, your liking something is what you are able to solve correctly. My definition of my liking is not like that. I even like those topics, those concepts, which may not be very much where I'm not very much comfortable, or even I'm not expertise. I may still be exploring, but still I like them, because liking has nothing to do with solving. That is a misconception. You like something which you are able to solve, which is within your control. but that is not liking. Bhai, there is no definition or there is no criteria for liking or loving. It happens. And this will happen with this chapter. Just be with me. Keep all this baggage aside. Okay? So keep all the baggage aside. It may happen that when you deal with a question, maybe initially one or two questions you will find difficult because it is something difficult. I'm never saying that it is easy, but I can still assure you, you will like it, you will love it, and over a period, you will become expert. Just be with me. Fine? Okay. So please first remember this, that the difference between accounting and PGBP or accounting and firstly income tax is that accounts does not have segregation of heads. So when you are going from accounting to income tax, which will happen in the question, specifically this particular PGBP question, or you can say the comprehensive question, will always be with a trading P&L account or with the details like on the right side of the screen, net profit as per P&L and the details of P&L. Your role first is to tick, identify what data is pertaining to HP, to capital gains, to other sources, or to salary. Once you have done that, whatever data is left is now the data for PGBP. Fine. Now, I'll go ahead further before I go to PGBP. Now, let us say I've identified that 1, 2, 3 are the data relating to HP. Then I'll come to HP head and I will start my workings. ER, AR, if required ARV, and then eventually GAV. Then municipal tax, NAV, standard deduction, and interest. Okay, I'll share something, one more thing. It is my habit as a student, I used to write everything in the format. Means what? Like I know that HP format is this. Tomorrow when you will study capital gains, you will know that the format of capital gains is this. FVC minus expenses on transfer, net consideration minus. Now, what I used to do as a student is maybe the question may not be having data for everything, but as a वो बोलते ना ईमानदारी से पढ़ने वाला student, I always used to write down everything in the format. How it helps, I'll tell you. One, many times if you directly start solving, you get stuck up somewhere because you don't get the starting point, you don't get the flow. So once you write the format, now वो flow अपने आप बनता है. Second thing is, when you are reading the question and you find any data, you start simply fill in the blank, the data in the format. Remember this. And it becomes more easier and it is most importantly error free. Because many times in comprehensive sums or specifically taxation sum, what happens? You miss something. In so much of data, you miss something. But the moment I have created the format, what I will do is when I'm reading the question, I will simply start filling the blanks. And whatever I'm filling blanks in my format, I'll start ticking here. So that I know that this much data I have considered and the remaining data I'm yet to consider. Same thing is for other sources. I will have another head of other sources and I will start writing down whatever data I'm finding for other sources. And I'm putting a tick in the paper. This ensures that I don't miss on any data. This also smoothens my process because see, generally in comprehensive sums, a common complaint of students, not only in income tax, any subject is, sir, start kaise kare? वही नहीं समझ में आता. Because with so much of data with you, you don't know from where to start. My answer is, in any subject, whether it is financial management, whether it is costing, whether it is income tax, make the format. Make the format. Now, I'm not saying make detailed format. Okay, at least आप heading लिख दो, आप उसके जैसे अभी कैपिटल गेन, पीजीबीपी, एचपी में आपके पास नॉट पीजीबीपी, एचपी, कैपिटल गेन और अदर सोर्सेज में ब्रॉड फॉर्मेट से लिख लो। अंदर डिटेल्स हम तब फिल इन करेंगे जब सम में से डिटेल्स आए। But at least make the broad format and start taking the figures and filling blanks. Suddenly, your first problem is solved. That is, you get a start. Also, as you start filling the data, ना थोड़ी चीजें स्मूथ लगने लगती है। वही चीज जो अब तक बहुत सारा फंसा रहा था, वो जो बहुत सारा डेटा था which was unmanageable suddenly becomes manageable, right? Yes, Nidhi, don't worry. I will be using Hindi also parallelly. Don't worry. So I will ensure that you understand everything. जो भी आपको लगे कि मैंने बहुत ज्यादा इंग्लिश बोला नहीं समझा, you ask me to repeat, I'll do that. Fine. So student, your first role is segregation. Now after segregating, I have put the data in the respective working notes. Now I'll go to each working note one by one, finding out the income or loss, finding out the income or loss. Here in the other sources, you may have two, three different incomes. One may be interest, other may be dividend, one may be gift. Finding out income or loss of each item. Lastly, I will come to PGB because, as I said, from the given sum, all the specific data I have put in respective heads computation because the respective heads computation are very specific. But PGBP, there is no specific computation. Now, when I'll go to PGBP, you'll realize that. So PGBP, Hamesha, I will keep it as my last working note separately. Now I come to the working note of calculation of PGBP income. Now, when you want to calculate this PGBP income, the most important question as a student that you always get is, sir, what will be the format? How do you compute this PGBP income? What is my format of computing this PGBP income? The answer is there are two formats of computing this PGBP income. Format one is make again a P&L. Now, what is this P&L? It is different from the original P&L given in the question. How? Please understand. Keep your minds open. You'll suddenly find that PGBP is much, much manageable and quite easy to understand and later on solve. Now, when I'm making this P&L again, what is this P&L? I will call it as my PGBP P&L. Means what? I have one accounting P&L and I was just explaining that accounting has no heads. It will cover all data at one place. But what I have done, I have taken the figures pertaining to all other heads and put it in these working notes relating to these heads in their respective formats. Now what I'll do is, now I will prepare the PGBP P&L only with the data pertaining to PGBP. So what is this first format? You can call it as the P&L format. So you again make the P&L, but now considering only PGBP related incomes, PGBP related expenses. So automatically what you will be left with is your final PGBP income. Correct? So this is the first format. Nidhi, I am not getting your point. You are saying कि sir study material से related करके समझा सकते हैं क्या? What do you mean by this, Nidhi? If you want, I will unmute you. Please raise your hand so that I'll understand what you mean by this. Huh. So students, the first format is you make a P&L, PGBP P&L, which will mean now consider only those items which are relevant to PGBP. What is PGBP? Business profession. In other words, remove the remaining items and put it in the respective workings of HP, of capital gain, of other sources, and all the balance items after removing these items would be in the PGBP P&L. Simple. And now apply the PGBP provisions. Now, what do I mean by apply PGBP provisions? We are yet to study PGBP. See, अभी तक मैंने PGBP start नहीं किया है. पर ये जो आपका दर्द था, ये जो आपके इश्यूज थे, आई नो इट बिफोर हैंड. सो बिफोर यू ऑल शेयर्ड दीज इश्यूज, आई स्टार्टेड इन दैट पर्टिकुलर फ्लो कि आपको सम सॉल्व करते आना चाहिए, प्लस यू गेट एक्सपर्टाइज इन द सब्जेक्ट इन दैट चैप्टर. सो आई एम गोइंग बाय दैट फ्लो. सो नाउ after I've given you this overview and everything, the flow, then I will take you to the PGP provisions. So what is PGP provisions? When I'm saying here apply PGP provisions means what? कि अब आपको ये पता चल गया कि मुझे ये सारे आइटम्स लेने हैं, मगर ये आइटम्स का अमाउंट कैसे डिटरमाइन होगा, पूरा लेना है या पार्टली लेना है या इधर भी कोई स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन जैसा फिक्स अमाउंट लेना है. ऑल दिस विल बी टोल्ड टू यू बाय द पीजीबीपी सेक्शंस. जैसे हमने एचपी पढ़ा, तो हमें एचपी ने बताया कि भाई म्युनिसिपल टैक्सेस पेड वाला ही लेना है, बाकी कोई खर्चा नहीं लेना है, सिर्फ स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन ले लेना है 30%. बाकी आपको सिर्फ इंटरेस्ट का मिलेगा, उसके लिए ये कंडीशन है, ये लिमिट है, और ये उसका वर्किंग है करंट ईयर प्लस 1/5 प्री कंस्ट्रक्शन. सिमिलरली व्हेन यू स्टडीड सैलरी, यू गॉट टू नो कि भाई एम्प्लॉयर से जो भी मिलता है सब लेना है सैलरी में, बट सबका आपको वर्किंग करना है टू फाइंड आउट टैक्सेबल पोर्शन. सो दिस इज हाउ, दिस इज व्हाट इज आई मीन बाय अप्लाइंग पीजीबीपी प्रोविजंस. तो अभी जब मैं पीजीबीपी के प्रोविजंस एक्सप्लेन करूंगा, आई विल बी एक्सप्लेनिंग यू कि क्रेडिट साइड पे क्या क्या चीजें आती है और उसका कितना अमाउंट आएगा, डेबिट साइड पे क्या क्या चीजें आएंगी और उसका कितना अमाउंट आएगा. दैट इज व्हाट इज अप्लाइंग पीजीबीपी प्रोविजंस. एक बार आपने पीएनएल बना लिया, टेकिंग ओनली द पीजीबीपी वाले आइटम्स एंड टेकिंग द अमाउंट एज पर पीजीबीपी प्रोविजंस, ऑब्वियसली व्हाट इज लेफ्ट इज योर फाइनल पीजीबीपी इनकम लॉस वॉट एवर इट इज. और फिर आपके इस कंप्यूटेशन में से आपको हर वर्किंग से फिगर लेना है, यहां से सैलरी का, यहां से एचपी का, यहां से पीजीबीपी का, यहां से कैपिटल का, और आखिरी वाले से अदर सोर्सेज का. डन, क्वेश्चन इज ओवर. सो दिस इज हाउ यू विल बी सॉल्विंग. अब इसमें सिर्फ छोटी सी दिक्कत क्या है, दिस फॉर्मेट विच आई जस्ट एक्सप्लेन यू फॉर कंप्यूटिंग पीजीपी इनकम इज नॉट यूज्ड. There is some other format which is used. So I'm again writing calculation of PGBP income. So I'm again writing the format of PGBP. So this is first format. I call it as the P&L format. Now I go to the main format which is used, which I call as the reconciliation format. And Nidhi, I think अब जब मैं आपको बताऊंगा, तो जो आपने बोला ना कि सर स्टडी मटेरियल से रिलेटेड करके समझा सकते हैं क्या, अभी वो रिलेट होने वाला है. पर वो रिलेट क्यों करना पड़ रहा है और क्या इसको आप पूरे एग्जाम के पिक्चर में कैसे आप इसको यूज करोगे, फर्स्ट वो समझना और समझाना जरूरी था. फाइन. Now what is reconciliation format, or first I will answer why you need reconciliation format. See, I can very well use this P&L format, वो हमें easy भी लगता है, बट P&L format यूज करने में दो बड़ी प्रॉब्लम्स है. फर्स्ट मेजर प्रॉब्लम, if your exam question is given in this format, जहां पे आपको पूरा पीएनएल नहीं दिया है, आपको सीधे नेट प्रॉफिट दिया है और उससे रिलेटेड सारे एडिशनल इंफॉर्मेशन दिए, इन दैट केस यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू फॉलो दिस फॉर्मेट. क्योंकि ये फॉर्मेट फॉलो करने के लिए आपके पास पीजीबीपी में आने वाले डेबिट और क्रेडिट के सारे आइटम्स चाहिए, क्रेडिट के सारे इनकम्स चाहिए पीजीबीपी वाले, डेबिट के सारे एक्सपेंसेस चाहिए पीजीबीपी वाले. पर अगर पीएनएल कंप्लीटली नहीं दिया है, द पीएनएल इज गिवन इन दिस मैनर और द डेटा इज गिवन इन दिस मैनर, you will not be able to prepare the P&L of PGBP. This is where this format will fail. Second reason is this, for this trading P&L which is given for accounts, right? इसमें से आपको सिर्फ क्या करना है, कुछ फिगर्स हटाने हैं, remaining everything is PGBP only. So the second point is why to waste time in preparing such a lengthy P&L again. भाई P&L बनाना भी तो टाइम कंज्यूमिंग होगा. अब जितने आइटम्स पीजीबीपी के हैं वो सारे वापस लिखने हैं, उतना सारा लिखना है, इट विल टेक सो मच ऑफ टाइम. सो दोनों रीजन है, वन इट इज वेरी लेंदी, टाइम कंज्यूमिंग, एंड मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट, this format of P&L cannot be applied when the data is given like this. That is why we go to another format which is reconciliation. And this is what is given at the start of your module as the format. But वो भी नहीं समझेगा. आपने सबने वो फॉर्मेट से ही पढ़ना शुरू किया रहेगा, और यही पढ़ के जो ये हुआ ना, फियरफुलनेस, कॉशियसनेस, मैग्नेमस, ये सब चीजें हुई बिकॉज ऑफ रीडिंग द फॉर्मेट। क्योंकि फॉर्मेट ने ऐसी कुछ लैंग्वेज यूज की, सबसे पहले फॉर्मेट ने ऐसा कुछ किया, एड और बहुत सारी चीजें, लेस, बहुत सारी चीजें, 5-6 पेजेस में फॉर्मेट चला गया, कि दैट इटसेल्फ गिव यू अ फीलिंग कि बॉस एवरीथिंग इज ओवर। मैं आया था आईपीएल मैच देखने को, यहाँ पे तो बेसबॉल चल रहा है जिसके मुझे रूल्स भी नहीं मालूम है, मुझे समझ भी नहीं रहा वो लोग क्या खेल रहे हैं, और प्लेयर्स भी मेरे लिए अननोन है। सो एवरीथिंग इज गॉन। सॉरी, आई विल से, जिसको भी पीजीबीपी पढ़ना है, फॉर्मेट स्किप कर दीजिए। वैसे भी आज के बाद तो फॉर्मेट भी समझ जाएगा, बट फिलहाल फॉर्मेट स्किप कर दीजिए। फॉर्मेट के बाद सेक्शन 28 से जो पीजीबीपी शुरू होता है ना, अगर आप वहां से पढ़ेंगे ना, सडनली विल स्टार्ट फीलिंग, अरे ये तो मुझे समझ में आ रहा है, अच्छा ये पीजीबीपी है, ओ ये तो कितना इजी है, सिर्फ वो लेंदी है। सो आपको जो भी चैलेंज आ रहा है, द प्रॉब्लम दैट यू आर फेसिंग इज बिकॉज यू रेड दोस 3-4-5 पेजेस ऑफ फॉर्मेट। नो वरीज, अब वो भी समझेगा, पूरा फॉर्मेट नहीं, क्योंकि पूरा फॉर्मेट तब समझेगा जब मेरे 2 लेक्चर्स कंप्लीट होंगे, but at least you'll get the feel of the format now. Now, in my working note of computing PGBP income, please understand this is the question which I am having in the exams. अब मैं बोलता हूं कि I want to follow the reconciliation format. And we all know what is reconciliation. You are given balance as per passbook. You have to go to balance as per bank book. और जैसा अभी हमने कॉस्टिंग में पढ़ा, you will be given profit as per financial P&L. You have to go to profit as per cost sheet. सेम चीज यहाँ पे, you are given profit as per financial P&L. You have to go to profit as per PGBP. It means my reconciliation format will be starting with net profit as per accounting profit and loss. Now, if you are given a P&L, still you will get this figure from here. So you get the starting point. If you're not given the P&L, you are given the data in this fashion, still you will get the starting point from here, because the net profit is always given. So आपको आपका starting point मिल जाएगा, which is net profit. अब समझिए the format of PGBP, which I am sure, I assure you, you will understand very easily. Please understand this. Focus for next 10 minutes. चाहिए तो उसके बाद मैं 2 मिनट का ब्रेक दे दूंगा. 2 minutes, huh? Not our regular break of 10 minutes. See, मैंने स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट लिया नेट प्रॉफिट ऑफ अकाउंटिंग पीएनएल. प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, ये नेट प्रॉफिट ऑफ अकाउंटिंग पीएनएल कैसे आया? क्रेडिट की सारी चीजें ऐड हुई, जो भी दिया है, और डेबिट की सारी चीजें उसमें से माइनस हुई. सो ऑल क्रेडिट्स वर एडेड, वट एवर नेम्स दे आर, सेल्स, रेंट, देन इंटरेस्ट, देन डिविडेंड, देन सैलरी, whatever credit items were there, all were added. Let us say this total is 25 CR. एंड फ्रॉम दिस, हम अकाउंट्स जो करते थे 11th स्टैंडर्ड से, हमने यही किया ना, क्रेडिट के सारी चीजें ऐड की कैलसी पे, एंड देन वट एवर वर द डेबिट्स, परचेजेस, इंटरेस्ट, डेप्रिसिएशन, रेंट, सैलरी, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा, माइनस नेट फिगर इज दिस. So please understand, this net profit is made up of these items which are added, these items which are subtracted. This is how you get this net profit. Now, I want to follow the reconciliation format, which means I have this net profit as my starting point, either from here or from here, because the question दोनों में से कोई भी रहेगा, net profit is the given. And this net profit is derived how? By adding these items and subtracting these items. This everybody now has understood. Now, if this net profit is my starting point and I want to find out my PGBP income, what should be my first thing to do with this net profit is, this net profit has added these items, subtracted these items, but out of all these items, there are some items like this, like this, like this, all these other sources items, salary. These are those items which I added here to find out net profit. But these items PGBP say are not mine. So if you want to find out PGBP income, what you will do is आप इनको लेस कर दो. सो मैंने लेस किया. क्या लेस किया? पे अटेंशन. अमाउंट credited to profit and loss account but taxable under other heads. So basically मैं क्या कर रहा हूं, ये नेट प्रॉफिट जो मेरा स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट है, इसमें जो चीजें आपने ऐड और लेस की है, अगर मुझे वो पीजीबीपी में नहीं चाहिए तो उसका इफेक्ट नलीफाई करना है. और वो नलीफाई कैसे करना है? बाय डूइंग द ऑपोजिट. सो दीज आइटम्स वर ऑल एडेड to get the net profit. These were subtracted. Now, out of these items, whatever items I don't want, do the opposite. So, what is the first opposite I did? I went to the credit side of P&L. I ticked those items. मैंने आपको पहले बोला आप टिक करोगे. जो मेरे लिए पीजीबीपी नहीं है वो या तो हाउस प्रॉपर्टी है या तो कैपिटल गेन है, अदर सोर्सेस है, जो भी है, बट इट इज नॉट पीजीबीपी, राइट? Sorry. So please understand this. So what I will do is I will subtract those items. ठीक है ना? Similarly, what should I add? Amounts which are debited to profit and loss account but are not allowed as deduction in PGBP. In short, जो PGBP के एक्सपेंसेस नहीं है तो आप कैसे माइनस कर सकते हो? पर माइनस हुआ है ना नेट प्रॉफिट में, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं, ऐड बैक कर दो. So you have a list of these items. You have a list of these items. So my starting point is this accounting net profit, जिसमें बहुत सारी चीजें एडेड थी. तो मैंने उनमें से वो चीजें सब्ट्रैक्ट कर दी जो आपने ऐड करके नेट प्रॉफिट निकाला है. आई हैव सब्ट्रैक्टेड. व्हाई? बिकॉज दे आर नॉट पीजीबीपी इनकम्स. सिमिलरली जो चीजें आपने नेट प्रॉफिट कैलकुलेट करते वक्त माइनस की थी, यानी डेबिट साइड ऑफ पीएनएल यानी एक्सपेंसेस, बट दे आर नॉट पीजीबीपी एक्सपेंसेस, ऐड कर दो. इज दिस क्लियर? हाँ. प्रियांशी, आई लाइक योर. Priyansh is saying, so sir, PGBP is same as our intermediate course. It is easy but lengthy. Well, Priyanshi, see, I never get into whether things are easy or difficult because the moment I start tagging it, na, suddenly if you find one thing which is tricky, आप तुरंत बैकफुट पे चले जाओगे क्योंकि आपको लगेगा नहीं यार तो डिफिकल्ट आ गया वापस. Please understand, students. When you are at professional level, na, there is nothing which is easy or difficult. It is only one thing. ये मुझे आज समझा है, डन. ये मुझे आज नहीं समझा है, ठीक है, आई वर्क ऑन इट. मुझे कल समझेगा, कल नहीं परसों समझेगा, परसों नहीं एक साल बाद समझेगा, एक साल बाद नहीं 10 साल बाद समझेगा. समझेगा. बी क्लियर. देर इज नथिंग इजी, देर इज नथिंग डिफिकल्ट. इट इज ओनली ये मुझे आज समझ गया और ये मुझे कल समझेगा. कल मैं वापस ट्राई करता हूँ. नहीं समझा कोई बात नहीं, मुझे वापस समझेगा. सी देर आर मेनी कॉन्सेप्ट्स which even the most knowledgeable persons may not have understood, or they have misunderstood that they have understood. उनको कुछ गलत ही समझा है. फिर किसी दिन तो भी वो यूरेका होता है, वो जो आपने स्कूल में पढ़ा है ना कि देयर वाज सम साइंटिस्ट, वो बाथ टब में जब पानी में बैठा तो पानी बाहर निकला तो सडनली ही रियलाइज, ओ कि अरे देयर इज समथिंग लाइक दिस वेट और इसका इफेक्ट होता है. यस, आर्किमिडीज. सो वैसे कितनी बार एट प्रोफेशनल लेवल नॉलेज आर्किमिडीज की तरह मिलती है, यूरेका. So there is nothing easy, there is nothing difficult. Please don't classify. डोंट क्लासिफाई इट फॉर एनी सब्जेक्ट एनी चैप्टर। आपको नहीं समझा, इट इज ओके। डोंट से इट इज डिफिकल्ट, इट इज से कि मुझे ये आज नहीं समझा। फाइन, थोड़ा और पढ़ता हूँ, थोड़ा और किसी के साथ डिस्कस करता हूँ, फैकल्टीज से कनेक्ट करता हूँ। नहीं समझा फिर भी एग्जाम हो गई, यू विल स्टिल पास। आई टेल यू, आई एम टीचिंग टैक्स टुडे, बीइंग वेरी ऑनेस्ट, व्हेन आई पास्ड माय इंटरमीडिएट विद अ वेरी गुड स्कोर, फाइनल विद एन एक्सीलेंट स्कोर, मुझे आज जितना आता है टैक्स मुझे नहीं आता था। सेम विद कॉस्टिंग, आज जितना आता है उतना तब नहीं आता था। मेनी थिंग्स आई हैव अंडरस्टूड इन टैक्स ओनली इन माय आर्टिकलशिप। दैट वाज द बेस्ट पार्ट ऑफ माय प्रोफेशनल career, and many things which I'm understanding today, that is because I'm facing those things in my profession. कुछ आता है, मैं वापस वही लॉ पढ़ता हूँ, आई डिस्कस विद अदर नॉलेजेबल पीपल। नाउ यू हैव सो मेनी थिंग्स ऑन यूट्यूब। मैं यूट्यूब पे पर कम विश्वास रखता हूँ बिकॉज देयर इज नो ऑथेंटिसिटी। बेटर आई कनेक्ट विद पीपल पर्सनली whom I know that these are knowledgeable people, I have discussion things, यूरेका। मैं कभी नहीं बोलता ये इजी है, एंड इक्वली आई नेवर tag anything as difficult. Follow this rule in your studies, especially for professional exams. ठीक है? So, what is our approach? We have taken net profit निधि। ये नेट प्रॉफिट आपने कैसे निकाला था बेटा? आपने क्रेडिट वाले आइटम्स को ऐड किया था कैलसी पे, डेबिट वाले को माइनस किया था, ऐसे 11th स्टैंडर्ड में आपने नेट प्रॉफिट निकाला। अब मैंने को क्या करना है, मैंने सबसे पहले स्टेप में क्या किया जो मैंने आपको बताया, आपने सेग्रीगेशन किया कि इसमें से कौन से आइटम्स किस हेड को बिलोंग करते हैं। अब एक बार मैंने सेग्रीगेशन कर लिया तो मुझे क्या करना है, अब एग्जैक्टली ऑपोजिट करना है। क्रेडिट साइड पे आपने जो आइटम्स आइडेंटिफाई किए कि ये हाउस प्रॉपर्टी का रेंट है, ये कैपिटल गेन का आइटम है, ये अदर सोर्सेज का, ये सैलरी का है, यानी ये पीजीबीपी में नहीं आने वाला है, तो आप क्या कर रहे हो, आप उसको लेस कर रहे हो। सिमिलरली डेबिट साइड पे जो एक्सपेंसेस थे जो आपने आइडेंटिफाई किए कि पीजीबीपी के नहीं है, आप उनको ऐड कर रहे हो। सिंपल पॉइंट, सिंपलेस्ट पॉइंट। ठीक है? नाउ इंटरेस्टिंगली, देर कुड बी सर्टन थिंग्स, ध्यान से सुनना, जो पीजीबीपी का इनकम है बट यहां पे नहीं है अकाउंट्स में, क्रेडिट साइड पे। देर कुड बी सर्टन थिंग्स जो पीजीबीपी का एक्सपेंस है पर यहां पे नहीं है अकाउंट्स में। पॉसिबल ना? व्हाई? बिकॉज अकाउंट्स हैज इट्स ओन प्रिंसिपल्स, इट्स ओन रूल्स। कॉस्टिंग में जैसे हम नोशनल आइटम्स कॉस्ट शीट में लेते हैं मगर अकाउंट्स में तो कभी नोशनल आइटम नहीं दिखता है। सो देर कुड बी सर्टन थिंग्स इन अकाउंट्स जो कॉस्टिंग में नहीं है, वैसे देर कुड बी सर्टन थिंग्स इन अकाउंट्स जो अकाउंट्स में नहीं है मगर पीजीबीपी में है, क्योंकि पीजीबीपी के रूल्स जो अभी हम पढ़ेंगे, प्रोविजंस पढ़ेंगे, उसके हिसाब से ये पीजीबीपी में इनकम में आना चाहिए, ये पीजीबीपी में एक्सपेंस में आना चाहिए, बट दे आर नॉट देयर इन अकाउंट्स। पॉसिबल ना? नाउ वंस आई अंडरस्टैंड पीजीबीपी प्रोविजंस, आई विल नो कि अच्छा ये आइटम्स तो यहाँ पे आए नहीं, जबकि ये तो आना चाहिए क्योंकि पीजीपी बोलता है दिस इज इनकम। तो आप क्या करोगे, इन दिस सेम रिकंसिलेशन फॉर्मेट अब मैं वो चीजें ऐड करूंगा, क्योंकि अगर वो पीएनएल में क्रेडिट अगर होता, ऑब्वियसली आपके नेट प्रॉफिट में ऐड ही हुआ रहता, पर नहीं है पीएनएल में मतलब ऐड नहीं हुआ, तो मुझे करना है, तो मैं ऐड क्या करूंगा, इनकम्स। कौन से इनकम्स? जो पीजीबीपी हेड में आते हैं, सो दे आर टैक्सेबल अंडर पीजीबीपी बट नॉट क्रेडिटेड इन पीएनएल। एंड सिमिलरली मैं लेस करूंगा क्या, एक्सपेंसेस विच आर डिडक्टेबल अंडर पीजीबीपी। जो पीजीबीपी हेड बोलता है भाई ये एक्सपेंसेस तो आप माइनस करना चाहिए बट नॉट डेबिटेड इन पीएनएल। फॉर्मेट इज ओवर। सो फ्रॉम अकाउंटिंग नेट प्रॉफिट आई रीच टू पीजीबीपी इनकम। अंडरस्टैंड द फॉर्मेट। चार ही चीजें, दो ऐड, दो लेस। इसके बाद मुझे आपको प्रोविजन समझाने ताकि आप ये ऐड लेस वाली चीजें ढूंढ सको, बस, नथिंग एल्स। दिस इज पीजीबीपी practical part. Now you can share me your doubts, your concerns. In fact, now you can even go and check the format again. अब कुछ तो फॉर्मेट समझेगा, पूरा नहीं समझेगा क्योंकि आपको उसके लिए प्रोविजंस मालूम होने चाहिए। Banpreet is asking, sir, rent paid for property is not part of expense of PGP, then why add back? So, Banpreet, please understand this. अगर कोई चीज PGBP का एक्सपेंस नहीं है पर आपके अकाउंटिंग पैनल में वो डेबिट है, करेक्ट? अगर कोई भी चीज अकाउंटिंग पैनल में डेबिट है मतलब नेट प्रॉफिट कैलकुलेट करते वक्त इट वाज सब्ट्रैक्टेड, हम कैलसी पे माइनस किया कर रहे थे ना, जब आपने अकाउंटिंग करते वक्त नेट प्रॉफिट कैलकुलेट किया था तो आपने डेबिट की सारी चीजें माइनस की थी, कि दैट आइटम ऑफ एक्सपेंस इज नॉट पार्ट ऑफ पीजीबीपी। तो पीजीबीपी का अगर वो पार्ट नहीं है पर नेट प्रॉफिट में तो माइनस हुआ है ना, माइनस हुआ है तो ऐड बैक करोगे, करेक्ट ना बनीप्रीत? यस बनीप्रीत, यस बनीप्रीत, बेटा कुछ तो बोल दो, यस नो, समझा नहीं समझा, व्हाट यू आर गेटिंग कंफ्यूज बेटा? You do one thing. I will unmute you. आप पूछो, मैं आपको अपफ्रंट समझाता हूँ. That will be more easy to understand. चलो.
सर मुझे कंफ्यूजन मतलब थोड़ी सी ऐसे हो रही है जैसे जो एक्सपेंस हमारे पीजीबीपी के है ही नहीं तो उन्हें हमें ऐड बैक भी करना है वहाँ पे जो एक्सपेंस उसके नहीं है।
वो एड बैक क्यों करना है
जैसे
बराबर?
जी सर।
बेटा तो प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, हमने नेट प्रॉफिट से शुरुआत की है क्योंकि हमारे पास नेट प्रॉफिट
यस
है। आपने जब
यस
अपने
सर।
100 में पहली बार पीएनएल बनाया होगा तो आपने पीएनएल बनाया तब क्या किया, नेट प्रॉफिट कैसे कैलकुलेट किया? आपने कैलसी लिया, क्रेडिट की सारे आइटम्स कैलसी में ऐड करते गए
यस सर।
और डेबिट वाले सारे आइटम्स कैलसी में माइनस करते गए, करेक्ट?
यस सर।
तो ये नेट प्रॉफिट का फिगर आया, यानी हाउ दिस नेट प्रॉफिट इज डिराइव्ड बाय एडिंग द क्रेडिट आइटम्स एंड सब्ट्रैक्टिंग द डेबिट आइटम्स। डू यू एग्री विद दिस?
यस सर।
अब अगर मैं आपको बोलता हूं, समझो, एक अपन दूसरे तरीके से समझते, पीजीबीपी छोड़ दो, आपने इधर 10 आइटम्स ली और इधर 25 आइटम्स ली, ऐसा ही होता है ना? 10 आइटम्स
यस
ऐड
सर।
की, 25 आइटम्स माइनस की और आपको नेट प्रॉफिट आ गया 3 lakhs। अब आपके टीचर ने आपका पीएनएल चेक किया और बोला अरे बनीप्रीत आपने ये गलत ले लिया, इधर तो ये नहीं चाहिए था और इधर भी ये नहीं चाहिए था। अब आपको वो टीचर बोलती है कि बनीप्रीत आप वापस प्रॉफिट कैलकुलेट कर दो, ये दो फिगर्स हटा दो क्योंकि ये गलत है, आपने नहीं लेना चाहिए था। इनिशियल डेज में ऐसे होता था ना, पीएनएल में हमने कभी बैलेंस शीट की भी फिगर डाल दी क्योंकि हम नए नए सीख रहे थे 11th स्टैंडर्ड में, करेक्ट?
यस सर।
अब टीचर ने आपको बोला बनीप्रीत एक काम करो, बाकी आपका पीएनएल परफेक्ट है, बस ये दो चीजें हटा दो। आप कैलसी पे क्या करोगे बनीप्रीत? आप ये सारे वापस
माइनस।
आइटम्स ऐड और ये सारे लेस करोगे क्या, वो दो हटा के?
हाँ सर।
नहीं, फिर आप क्या करोगे बेटा? आपके पास नेट प्रॉफिट आ गया कैलसी पे 3 lakhs, अब आप क्या करोगे?
जो दो इनकम आई है एक्स्ट्रा उन्हें माइनस कर देंगे।
ये आपने माइनस कर दिया कैलसी पे, और ये जो खर्चा था ये
ऐड बैक।
पक्का? आप पूछ रहे हो कि बता रहे हो?
तो बता रही हूँ।
हाँ,
तो बता रही हूँ।
सो नहीं आ रही हूँ, श्योर कि वो ऐड करना है?
यस सर।
तो बेटा फिर यहाँ पे वही है ना, ऐड क्या करना है? जो अमाउंट पीएनएल में डेबिट है मगर जो पीजीबीपी में नहीं आने वाला है, उसी को तो ऐड कर रहे हैं ना हम।
यस सर।
सही है?
यस सर।
समझ गया?
यस सर।
गुड। एनीबडी एल्स स्टिल हैज अ डाउट? धनुष बेटा, मैं अभी तक आपको लॉजिक ही समझा रहा हूँ, और जो अभी मैंने बनीप्रीत को समझाया वो बेस्ट लॉजिक है कि आपने 11th स्टैंडर्ड में आप हो और आपने पहला सम आपको दिया, ट्रायल बैलेंस से पीएनएल बनाने को बोला, और कॉमनली क्या होता है उस वक्त, हम पीएनएल में बैलेंस शीट की चीजें भी घुसा देते हैं, डेबिट और क्रेडिट साइड। करेक्ट। तब आपकी टीचर ने जब आपका पीएनएल चेक किया तो आपको बोला बेटा बाकी तो पीएनएल ठीक है, पर ये दो तीन चीजें हटा दो डेबिट और क्रेडिट साइड में से, क्योंकि वो पीएनएल की नहीं, वो बैलेंस शीट की है। अब आप कैलकुलेट कर चुके थे प्रॉफिट, अब आप क्या कर रहे हो, उसको आप वहां से ऐसे स्क्रिबल करके आपने कट कर दिया और आपको वापस प्रॉफिट निकालना है। तो मैं क्या करूंगा, जो मेरे पास ऑलरेडी प्रॉफिट आया है, मैं वो प्रॉफिट में से ये दो तीन चीजों को हटा दूंगा। कैसे हटाऊंगा, जो क्रेडिट वाले आइटम्स नहीं चाहिए थे प्रॉफिट में से माइनस कर दिए, जो डेबिट वाले आइटम्स नहीं चाहिए थे वो प्रॉफिट में ऐड कर दिए। धनुष, दिस इज द लॉजिक। आप अगर लॉजिक पूछ रहे हो तो लॉजिक वही है जो मैंने अभी एक्सप्लेन किया। यस निधि।
हेलो, गुड इवनिंग सर।
गुड इवनिंग निधि,
सर
बोलो।
हम जी सर, हम कह रहे हैं पीजीपी में हम कैसे मतलब आइडेंटिफाई करेंगे कि कौन सा पीजीपी का आइटम है और कौन सा नहीं है।
बेटा वो तो अभी समझाना बाकी है, मैंने बोला ना पीजीबीपी प्रोविजंस पढ़ाना बाकी है। पर आप सबको तकलीफ कहाँ पे हुई है, जो भी पढ़ के आया है सबने स्टार्टिंग के 2 3 4 पेजेस पे फुल स्टॉप कर दिया, और वो 2 3 4 पेजेस फॉर्मेट है, राइट। और ये
ओके सर।
फॉर्मेट से समझाना इसलिए जरूरी है क्योंकि आगे एग्जाम्स भी इसी फॉर्मेट में सॉल्व करनी है। तो अब
जी
इसके बाद जो मैं समझाने वाला हूँ बेटा, वो वही समझाने वाला हूँ कि क्या पीजीबीपी में आएगा क्या नहीं आएगा, वही अभी बताना बाकी है, सो डोंट वरी।
ओके सर, ओके, थैंक
आपके
यू सर।
क्वेश्चन का आंसर मिला, आपने बोला ना कि सर आप मॉड्यूल से लिंक करके पढ़ाओ, तो ये मॉड्यूल में सबसे पहले तो यही है ना आपके, लिंक हो गया।
जी जी सर। यस
समझ में आ
सर।
गया, अभी मॉड्यूल से लिंक होके चल रहे हैं हम।
जी सर, बिल्कुल, थैंक यू सर।
ये स्टूडेंट्स, एनीबडी एल्स? हैंड रेज किसका है, अरे मेरा ही है। ठीक है, एनीबडी, एनी डाउट्स? शुड आई प्रोसीड नाउ? सो फॉर्मेट इज क्लियर। अब हम बढ़ते हैं आगे। अब आगे वाला पार्ट है जो निधि ने अपना दर्द व्यक्त किया कि सर चलो फॉर्मेट भी समझ गया, धनुष को नहीं समझा था वो लॉजिक भी अब समझ गया, वनीप्रीत का वो डाउट भी क्लियर हो गया, पर सर पता कैसे चलेगा कि पीजीबीपी में क्या आएगा और क्या नहीं आएगा? डोंट वरी, वही अभी सीखना बाकी है। सो फर्स्टली देयर इज सम थियरी अबाउट व्हाट इज बिजनेस, व्हाट इज प्रोफेशन, वो हम बाद में देखेंगे। आज का दिन थियरी के लिए नहीं है, आज का दिन कॉन्सेप्ट्स के लिए है, थोड़ा सा अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए है, वो हम कर लें। देन द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट दैट इज योर फॉर्मेट विच आई जस्ट एक्सप्लेन टू यू। पर मैं यहाँ से पढ़ा था ना तो कुछ नहीं समझ में आता या वो कनेक्ट नहीं होता था, वो एक थियरी जैसा ही लगता था। नाउ आई हैव एक्सप्लेन इट टू यू हाउ द फॉर्मेट इज डिराइव्ड और क्रिएटेड, linking it with your 11th standard P&L वाले गलतियां. Now you'll understand the format. So I'm just reading it again. You start with net profit as per your P&L. इसमें आपको ऐड करना है those items which were debited to P&L but जो पीजीबीपी में खर्चा नहीं है, आपको लेस करना है वो आइटम जो P&L में क्रेडिट है मगर वो पीजीबीपी में टैक्सेबल नहीं है क्योंकि वो दूसरे हेड के आइटम्स है। करेक्ट, ये दो पहली चीजें थी। एंड देन दी अदर टू थिंग्स आर वो इनकम जो पीजीबीपी में आने चाहिए मगर पीएनएल में क्रेडिट ही नहीं है। सेम आपके साथ 11th स्टैंडर्ड में यही गलतियां हुई कि आपने पीएनएल बना लिया मगर पीएनएल में कुछ और चीजें आनी चाहिए थी जो आपको लगा बैलेंस शीट में आएगी, तो आपने पीएनएल में नहीं लिख के बैलेंस शीट में लिख दी। अब वापस आपको टीचर बोलती है अरे बेटा ये बैलेंस शीट में नहीं आएगा, ये तो पीएनएल में आएगा। तो अब आपको वो पीएनएल के क्रेडिट में ऐड करने को बोला है। ऐड में ये वर्ड फिलहाल नहीं यूज करता, वो पीएनएल के क्रेडिट में आने वाली चीज है जो आपने नहीं ली थी पीएनएल। अब क्योंकि आपने वो पीएनएल के क्रेडिट में नहीं लिया था और अब मुझे उसे लेना है, तो ऑब्वियसली उससे क्या होगा, नेट प्रॉफिट बढ़ेगा क्योंकि आप क्रेडिट साइड में जो भी लिखोगे उससे क्रेडिट बढ़ेगा। सिमिलरली जो चीजें आप डेबिट में लिखना भूल गए थे, अब अगर आप पीएनएल के डेबिट में वो चीजें लिखोगे क्योंकि आपने नहीं लिखी थी, तो उससे आपका प्रॉफिट कम होगा। आई होप दिस इज वेरी वेरी क्लियर। So Soumya beta, I already was saying everything in English. First time I explained the format in Hindi. For those who could not understand in English, so I'm still repeating in English again. So simply beta, P&L is your base. So those items which were credited in P&L, but they will not come in PGBP. Why? Because they belong to other heads. What you will do, you will subtract them. Those items in P&L debit, which you have debited in P&L but will not come in PGBP, you'll add them. So these two things are over. Then those items which you forgot to write in P&L, but they should come in P&L. So they are not written in P&L, so they are not yet credited in P&L, but they are covered in PGBP. Now, if it is a credit item, then you add it. If it is a debit item, you subtract it. This is the format. I already explained it in the sheet where I was writing everything. Now I'm just repeating it in this printed sheet. Now to do all this, what are the two steps? First step I was already explaining. You should learn segregation. Segregation means you should be able to identify if this is of house property, this is of salary, this is of capital. In short, this is not of PGBP. So what is not of PGBP, you have to remove. How remove? Like this, add less. But besides segregating, you should also know what are the PGBP provisions, because by knowing these PGBP provisions only, one, you will be able to do segregation. Two, you will be able to decide what Nidhi was asking, ki what will come and what will not come in PGBP. So now we are on this main step, that is now studying PGBP provisions. So step one, segregation, you will be given a sum like this. All these items which you normally find in accounting P&L would be given. And then, as you can see, I have made certain things red and I have striped off because those are the items which do not come in PGBP. So these items, you have identified that, okay, these are not PGBP items. So आपको उसका क्या करना है, add या less करके, you have to nullify the effect of those items. Now, most important, we have to understand PGP provisions in details to understand कि क्या P&L credit में आएगा, कितना आएगा, similarly क्या P&L debit में आएगा, कितना आएगा. Now please remember one thing, you have to understand these PGBP provisions keeping in mind the format, so that we can always go back to the format and say, okay, now we have understood this provision, so as per this provision this will come in PGBP and this will not come in PGBP. So immediately I will say कि अब ये PGBP में नहीं आएगा तो क्या करना है. You should be able to answer me add or less. So now that is why I first explain add or less. Keep the P&L in mind. And now we will study PGP provisions to decide what will come or what will not come in PGBP. Fine. Okay. Again, I'm drawing P&L because this is the simplest way of understanding things. Now just remember, now I'm trying to explain you as per PGBP, what should come in the credit side and debit side. Firstly, we are on the credit side. So for identifying what will come in the credit side of PGBP P&L, you should know three sections. 28, 41. By knowing these three sections, you will come to know what all things will come in PGBP credit side and what will not come in PGBP credit side. So firstly, we are now only on the credit side. Starting with section 28. Now we'll go to the module also to read this section in detail. But first, let me explain you in simpler words, giving you some concept, giving you some logic, so that reading the technical or the difficult language, so-called difficult in your language, should be then easy and understandable, right? Now, what does section 48 says? What will come in PGBP? All revenues which are related to your business or profession. All revenues related to your business or profession is what will come in PGBP credit side. Now you'll say कि sir इससे तो कुछ समझ में नहीं आया, but let me tell you, this is the crux. So what will come? आप अगर गुड्स से डील कर रहे हो So what will come? Sales. अगर आप services में deal कर रहे हो, so it will be fees, it will be charges, it will be like if you are in the business of transportation, it will be freight. So simply first, what will come in PGBP credit side is revenues which are related to or arising out of your business. Let me call these as direct revenues. Now then you may also have indirect revenues. Now I'll give you example of indirect revenues. What are they? Please pay attention. When you are doing business, whatever your business is, let us say sale of goods. Sales is your direct revenue. But you have some indirect revenue also. Like these sales are in the form of exports. So you are exporting goods. So whatever exports you are doing, it is your sales. वो तो PGP P&L में आना ही है. But since you are doing export, government provides you lot of export incentives. Now they have some technical names. They have the names like duty drawback. They have the name like cash assistance. They have the name like profit on import license. These all are what? These are all export related incentives which government gives you because the government wants to promote export. Every government wants to promote export. Now, this particular export is your sales, which is direct revenue. But these all export incentives are also your PGBP income or revenue, which are indirect. I hope this is clear. Similarly, many times when you are doing any business or profession, you many times receive incentives, gifts, perquisites, any type of benefits which are arising from your business or profession. These are again your indirect revenue from business. I'll give you an example. What are these? Let us say you are a distributor of a branded product, let us say Britannia product. Now the Britannia company has given you a target for this year, that if this year you achieve sales of 1 crore, I will give you gold coin. If you achieve sales of 5 crores, I will give you a bullet, Thunderbird. If you achieve sales of 50 crores, I will give you Mahindra SUV. And if you achieve sales of 100 crores, I will give you a sponsored family trip for 4 people, including your entire family. Now come the most interesting part. You may not have received anything in money form, but you have received something in the form of incentives. Let us say you can call it as gifts. Perquisite means any type of facility, benefits that is related to your business profession. Again, part of PGBP. Are you getting this? Another example of this could be indirect revenue, could be non-compete fees. Now, this is something new to the present business environment. What is non-compete fees? Non-compete fees is where you are in a particular business and your competitor comes and say, you don't do this business in my area or for this particular part of the territory, and you agree to that. But when you agree for not doing a business in a particular territory or area or in a particular business line, you have entered into that agreement, then the point is, please pay attention, you don't do it free. We have, earlier we had this MRTP Act, Monopoly Restrictive Trade Practices Act, which was replaced by Competition Law. Now, competition law allows you that you may charge a fees for agreeing not to compete with your competitor in a particular area, or let us say not submitting a tender where the competitor also wants to submit a tender and you agree. In that particular case, please pay attention. In that particular case, you are given some fees for not competing, for foregoing that business or business opportunity. Again, an indirect revenue from business. So section 28 covers so many items. All are business revenues, direct or indirect. Now, when it comes to your exam questions, please remember this. All this will not be required in exams. Many of this is only for theory. As we all have seen in many provisions, many things which you study in provisions are not actually part of sums. In exams, mainly you need to only know that what will come is your direct revenues, all these. And within indirect revenue, remember compute fees and all these names, duty drawback, cash assistance, etc. that you have in the module also. Because these are the ones which are commonly repeated. Are you getting this? Is section 28 clear? Priyanshi is asking, is perquisite also received for PGB? Please understand, beta, perquisite is not linked with anything like salary or PGB. Perquisite is a generic term which means facilities. So you may receive facility from your employer, then it is part of salary income. If you are receiving any facility, like I said, you will get a foreign tour from your company for which you are a distributor, or maybe some of your client is sponsoring. In that case, it is also perquisite and it is arising out of business. So PGBP. Baniprita asking, is income tax refund indirect revenue? Answer is no. Income tax refund is not indirect revenue. Second question, whether it will come in PGP or not, I will say wait, I have to still explain you the next two sections. So income tax refund, whether it will come in PGP or not, you'll get answer when I explain you the next section. In 28, it is not coming. In GST also, we read this under supply chapter. Okay. If profession perquisite, then PGP. Yes, but see, in PGBP, B is business, P is profession. I'm not sure, Rajveer, what was your query? When we are saying PGBP, PGBP is PGBP, profits and gains from business or profession. So if you're receiving anything from profession, whether perquisite or anything, that is also PGP. Okay. Sir, section 28 under the item are coming under PGP. Nidhi beta, what is your question? Sir, 28, I don't know what you have asked. What I have understood, I'm answering. Section 28 is the first section which tells you what will come in PGBP credit side. So whatever items are given is, whatever items are given in section 28, beta, all are going to come in PGBP. Is this clear? Everybody? Any doubts? Super. So, my first section that helps me understand what is PGBP, P&L credit side, means what will come in PGBP on the credit side, is section 28, which basically says all types of business revenue. You should read the module to get the list of section 28, but for exams, what is relevant is on your screens. Now, comes the second most interesting section, 41. Please pay attention what 41 covers. 41 is covering reimbursement or refund or recovery of what? Of expenses or losses of past years. So firstly, understand what does 41 covers. Now I'll first give you an example. The simplest and the best example of what is 41 covering is bad debts recovered. What are bad debts? They are losses of some past period. And in this year, you were able to recover it from that client who had run away. So you had considered it as bad debts, but now somehow you got that client and you are able to recover that money. Now comes the most important point. Again, let me explain you with the help of accounting. See, I mentioned this in previous chapters also. Every provision is made with some logic. The languages that they are using over here is obviously legal language, so it is slightly tricky, slightly difficult to understand. But logic, if you understand, then you have to only apply the logic to the language. Now, please pay attention to what I'm trying to explain. Now, this is accounts. Profit and loss account of financial year 22-23. In that financial year, you have debited two bad debts, 80,000. Why you debited? Because you had a ledger called as sundry debtors, which had some opening balance, 46 lakhs. Then you had credit sales, you received some payment, right? And you have closing balance. Now, in between all this, you identified that one of your client to whom you had made some credit sales has fled. He is not traceable. भाग गया वो. And whatever piece you were supposed to collect from him, now you cannot collect because he is not traceable. That piece is 80,000. So what entry you pass? You say buy bad debts. Correct? So you have reduced this 80,000 from your debtors, and this bad debts you have shown as a loss in P&L of financial year 22-23. Now comes the current financial year 24-25. This same person who had run away, somehow he comes back, or somewhere you find this person. You catch hold of him, maybe you give him to police or whatever you do. So you are able to recover rupees 62,000 from him. You are able to recover. What will you do in accounts? See, I'll first show you the journal entries. Many times we do not know the journal entries, so we do not know how in accounts it appears. I will pass the journal entry like this. Money received, so bank debit. And it is received again what? It is received against that amount which I have already treated as bad debts 2 years back. So I will say this amount which I have shown as bad debts are now recovered or received. And then what I do is this bad debts recovered is transferred to my P&L. So I get here by bad debts recovered 62. Is this fine, students? Simple. So what is 41 talking about? 41 is talking about this. What does 41 says? See what I have written till now. I have to yet complete that sentence, but I have written something. What is 41 covering? It is covering reimbursement, refund, recovery of what? Of expenses, losses of past years, which were allowed as deduction. But firstly, before I come to this second part, firstly, so what 41 is covering? Those amounts which you have recovered in the current year. And these amounts are relating to what? These are relating to expenses, losses of past years. And the simplest example which I can give you is of bad debts. So 2 years back, I showed loss of bad debts. Now I'm showing recovery because that person I could trace and I could recover 62,000. Is this clear, students? Anybody, any doubts, any questions? Please feel free to ask. Done? Now comes the tricky part. See, that is why I'm saying never tag anything as easy or difficult, because the moment you feel things are getting easy, there will be some dusra or tisra in the language of cricket. Now, what is this dusra or tisra? Pay attention. Many times there are errors in accounting, error of omission. So actually what the error is, in this same year, you showed bad debts 80,000 because one person, one of your clients had fled. निधि बेटा थोड़ा पेशेंस रखो, थोड़ा. So I was talking about error of omission. So you have actually two clients in this year. Out of all your debtors, two clients have become bad. There is one more person जिसका 75,000 फीस आना था, वो भी बैड डेट्स हो गया. सेम वही, भाग गया, अनट्रेसेबल. बट समहाउ बिकॉज ऑफ एरर ऑफ ओमिशन, आपने जब अकाउंटिंग बनाया, आपने इधर से वो एक क्लाइंट का ही बैड डेट्स दिखाया, जबकि आपके उस साल में दो बैड डेट्स थे. सो आपके पीएनएल में भी एक ही बैड डेट्स दिखाया लॉस, क्योंकि आपने एक का ही अकाउंटिंग किया, दूसरे का भूल गए, एरर ऑफ ओमिशन. अब इन द करेंट ईयर ये दूसरा वाला भी ट्रेसेबल हो गया. समझो दोनों दोस्त ही थे, साथ में भागे थे, दोनों पकड़े गए. एंड दिस सेकेंड पर्सन से भी आपने रिकवर किया ₹60,000. उसके 75,000 में से आपने रिकवर किया 60,000. वापस आपकी एंट्री आई बैंक 60. नाउ लेट मी टेस्ट योर अकाउंट्स. क्या होगी क्रेडिट एंट्री? बैंक तो डेबिट हो गया 60 बिकॉज आई रिसीव्ड दिस मच अमाउंट. आगे क्या होगा? चलो, सस्पेंस, बढ़िया. एम डॉट रिसीट, ये क्या होता है? मुझे आपने क्वेश्चन पूछा है, आप आंसर दे रहे हो. सस्पेंस, वेरी गुड, क्या बात है. मिसलिनियस, क्या बात है. बट स्मृति बेटा, बैड डेट्स तो आपने रिकॉर्ड किए नहीं, हो तो 2 साल पहले हुए, अभी आप बैड डेट्स करके क्या करोगे? Two people have given me the correct answer. One is Dinesh, one is Mohammad Farhan. भाई सस्पेंस कहां से आया? सस्पेंस तब आता है जब आपको डिफरेंस नहीं मिलता है. इधर तो कोई डिफरेंस ही नहीं है. मिलने नहीं मिलने की क्या बात है? आपको मालूम है ये बंदा बैड डेट्स है, आपको मालूम है. जानवी बेटा, पीएनएल बाद में आता है. पहले आप पहली एंट्री पास करते हो और फिर एंड में जब बुक्स क्लोज करते तो वो बैलेंस पीएनएल में जाता है, तो पहले पीएनएल नहीं आएगा. So two people have given me the correct answers, Mohammad Rehan and Mr. Dinesh, and the answer is to debtors. और इसका पीएनएल से कोई संबंध नहीं है. जी, आपको पहले अकाउंट समझना है. आप अकाउंट समझोगे तो आपको बहुत चीजें, इनकम टैक्स, कॉस्टिंग, जीएसटी की बहुत इजी लगेगी. अकाउंट्स में ही अगर गड़बड़ होगा तो वो सब्जेक्ट में भी गड़बड़ होगा, पर उसका रीजन वो सब्जेक्ट नहीं है. सो फर्स्ट bad debts recovered, second bad debts recovered. द पॉइंट इज व्हाट, आपको इस साल 2 बैड डेट्स रिकवर हुए, पर क्या आपने पीएनएल में ये दूसरा बैड डेट्स रिकवर भी दिखाया? आंसर इज नो। क्यों नहीं दिखाया? ये आपके सामने अकाउंट्स दिख रहा है। समझो मुझे अकाउंट्स नहीं समझ में आता है, आई एम नॉट अ कॉमर्स बैकग्राउंड स्टूडेंट, पर मुझे सिंपल फिगर समझ में आते हैं, तो ध्यान देना। मैंने 22-23 में 80,000 को बैड डेट्स दिखाया बिकॉज दैट वाज माय लॉस, बिकॉज दैट पर्सन रैन अवे, एंड आउट ऑफ दिस 80,000 I got 62. First, you understand this. Out of this 80,000, I got 62 after 2 years. It means I have to reverse this entry. Reverse. Please mind the words which I am using. Because I treated this as my loss, but now out of this 62 is not my loss because that much amount I received. I thought it would be loss because I thought I will not be able to recover, but I could recover 62. So out of 82, 62 is not my loss because I'm able to recover 62. So I reversed. जिसको मैंने डेबिट किया था, अब मैं उसको रिवर्स करके क्रेडिट कर रहा हूं टू करेक्ट, क्योंकि I thought 80 will be loss, but out of this 62 is received. So 62 is not a loss. So I have to correct that entry of 62. But क्योंकि मैंने इधर ये दूसरे वाले का 75 दिखाया ही नहीं, तो इसमें से जो रिकवर हुआ 60 वो मैं दिखाऊंगा क्या? नहीं, क्योंकि मुझे इसकी कोई कॉन्ट्रा एंट्री नहीं करनी है, क्योंकि जब मैंने इसकी पहली एंट्री पास नहीं की तो मैं उसकी कॉन्ट्रा कैसे करूंगा, क्यों करूंगा? Priyanshi, I'm not getting what you are trying to say. Are you trying to, whatever you have said, whether it is for the first amount of 62 or the second amount of 60? So, students, have you understood this? So what was debited, if that amount is recovered or reimbursed, that will be credited. What was not debited, if that amount is recovered, reimbursed, it will not be credited. So credit उसी को करूंगा जिसका पहले डेबिट किया था. If this is clear, I come back to the legal language. What 41 says will come in PGBP credit side as income? Those expenses or losses जो इस साल आपको रिकवर, रिएम्बर्स कुछ तो हुए, एंड मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट, दे वर अलाउड एज डिडक्शन. डिडक्शन अलाउड है मतलब जिसको आप पीएनएल में डेबिट करते हो उसको हम बोलते हैं डिडक्शन इज अलाउड, यानी जो आपने पीजीबीपी में माइनस किया है पहले. सो जो पीजीबीपी में आपने पहले माइनस किया, वो लॉस अगर अब आपको रिकवर हो रहा है, रिएम्बर्स हो रहा है, तो अभी आप पीजीबीपी में इनकम कर दो, कॉन्ट्रा, रिवर्स. बट अगर कुछ आपने पहले माइनस ही नहीं किया, अब अगर वो रिकवर भी हो रहा है, यू विल नॉट शो इट एज पीजीबीपी इनकम, क्योंकि कॉन्ट्रा में क्या करूंगा, जो डेबिट ही नहीं किया उसको मैं अभी क्रेडिट क्यों करूंगा, कैसे करूंगा? इज दिस क्लियर? प्रियांशी, यू आर राइट बेटा. I hope this point is clear. So if this is clear, 41 is clear. So what is 41 saying? 41 is saying that, Anubhav, pay attention, that it is not income. It is reversing what you did 2 years back. Please understand this. आप ये मत देखो अनुभव सिर्फ कि मुझे वो पैसे मिले, मैं वो पैसे मिले इसलिए उसे पीजीपी में क्रेडिट नहीं करने वाला हूं, बिकॉज एवरीथिंग रिसीव्ड इज नॉट इनकम. I always tell my students like this: anything that comes in need not be income. So come in not necessary is income. Here 41, please understand, is not covering my revenue like 28. 21, 28, what I explained first is actually your income, because that is what you are earning by doing business. 41 is not income. 41 is reversal. What you did, debit first. If that debit is now not a loss, you thought it is a loss, but it is now not a loss, have to be reversed to nullify the effect. Anubhav, I think now your point is clear to you. I hope students, everybody understood what is 41 now, or what 41 covers in the PGP credit side. So we'll take a break. My mobile shows 7:43. We meet at 7:53. Fine. Let us resume, students. So 41 covers what? It is not actually a revenue. It is reimbursement recovery of expenses. So that is why, Anubhav, the question that you asked, I'll discuss with everyone that, like in my previous example, we will not be considering this 60 rupees as our income. We will not be considering it in my PGBP credit side. Why? Because originally the loss was not debited. In the language of law, it was not allowed as deduction. Now, please understand that this 60 is never my income. Whatever I receive need not always be my income. I was supposed to write it in the credit side to reverse the debit entry. If originally I did not do any debit, like here for 75, I did not debit, so nothing will be required for this reversal. This 680 I had done debit, so I will do reversal by crediting it. So remember one thing, 41 is not covering incomes, it is covering reversals. Reversals of those expenses, those losses which were earlier allowed as deduction, that is, they were debited in PGBP earlier. So what PGBP allowed you to debit earlier, if out of that something is recovered, you will treat it as PGBP credit. You will show it as PGBP income. Understood? Now, what else could come in section 41 besides bad debts? Everything that is debited in P&L or that can be debited in P&L. Now, out of this, from exam point of view, bad debts is the most common thing. The second most common thing is taxes. GST, customs, income tax. Now, many times we pay taxes and later on, it is found that the taxes were wrongly paid extra, excess. Whenever the taxes are paid extra or excess, you take it back from the government, which is called as refund. So, now comes the same point. What is the same point? You pay all these taxes in accounts. Pay attention. In accounts, you debit all taxes. GST also, customs also, income tax also. But as we will proceed with PGBP, you will come to know that they say that we will not allow you to debit income tax in PGBP. So when you are calculating PGBP income tax cannot be debited in PGBP. That is, income tax is not allowed as deduction. This we will study in the PGBP provisions, which we are going to come to now, the debit side provision. Now, if income tax is not allowed to be debited in PGBP, now if this income tax is in future refunded, the same logic of this 60,000 will apply. What was not debited, if anything out of that is recovered, refunded, that will also not be credited. So that is why if there is refund of GST or customs, it will be credited to PGBP. It will be PGBP income under 41. Why? Because whenever you pay these, it is debited. It is allowed as deduction. But since income tax paid is not allowed as deduction in PGBP, whenever it is refunded or recovered, it will also not be credited. It will not be treated as PGBP income under section 41. Clear, students? Vanipreet, I hope you got the answer. Dhanush, why? I will answer when we will study the debit side provisions, because see, this point is a debit side point. So I'll give you the answer why. Right now, I'm explaining you credit side, so I'm not giving you the answer why it is not allowed as deduction. So be patient. बेटा निधि, आपको ये बात भी हिंदी में अगर सुननी है तो कैसे चलेगा बेटा? इट इज सो सिंपल. मैंने कहा कि इनकम टैक्स PGBP में इनकम टैक्स जो आपने पे किया उसको हम डेबिट करना अलाउ नहीं करते। इसीलिए अगर इनकम टैक्स का रिफंड दिया होगा तो उसको हम पीजीवीपी में सेक्शन 41 का इनकम नहीं मानेंगे, क्योंकि जब आपने वो इनकम टैक्स पे किया था तब उससे पीजीवीपी डेबिट नहीं करता है, तो आज उसे हम इनकम भी नहीं मानेंगे। ईशान बेटा, प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, ये मैंने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले अनुभव के क्वेश्चन का आंसर बोला था कि ये जो भी रिफंड हो रहा है ये आपका कोई इनकम नहीं है कि अगर वो पीजीबीपी में नहीं आता है तो किसी दूसरे हेड में आएगा। प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, इट इज रिवर्सल ऑफ डेबिट। तो जो चीज पीजीबीपी में डेबिट की है वो पीजीबीपी में क्रेडिट की। जो चीज कहीं पे भी डेबिट नहीं हुए, पीजीपी में नहीं हुआ मैं तो कहीं पे भी नहीं हूं, क्योंकि वो दूसरे किसी हेड में आ भी नहीं सकता है। इफ इट इज नॉट डेबिटेड, why it will be created under any head? So the answer to this is कि ये जो भी चीज पीजीपी के क्रेडिट में नहीं आ रही है, लाइक जो मैंने वो बैड डेट्स रिकॉर्ड 60,000 का एग्जांपल दिया या अभी इनकम टैक्स रिफंड का एग्जांपल दिया, इट विल नॉट गो टू एनी अदर हेड, because again I repeat Ishan, it is not income, it is reversal of past debit. So whatever debit, you reverse it by showing it as P&L credit. What is not debited, that is not allowed as deduction, you don't reverse it, simple. So वो इनकम नहीं है कि वो यहां नहीं तो कहीं और आना चाहिए। Is this fine? You have another section for PGBP credit, पर उसके बारे में हम आज बात नहीं करेंगे, क्योंकि it will not tell you what will be covered in PGBP, what will not be covered in PGBP. It is only relating to valuation, जो हम बाद में आराम से पढ़ सकते हैं। इसे आपको मॉड्यूल में नहीं पढ़ना है, correct? So don't read this from module, otherwise unnecessarily you may find it difficult, confusing. उसको अभी आप छोड़ दीजिए, उसका आपको सम सॉल्विंग से कोई लेन देन नहीं, but I'll explain it to you. It is a theoretical aspect. Now, credit has only these three sections, 28, 41, 43 CA, जिसमें से काम का सिर्फ 28 और 41 है, 43 CA will study. Now I come to debit side. कितने sections पढ़ने आपको मालूम? These many sections you have to study. PGVP, debit side. Now suddenly when you hear this, again the favorite things comes back. Doubt, fear, whatever is coming, don't worry. मैं हूं ना. Just follow whatever I'm saying. ठीक है? So in PGBP, just remember मैं हूं ना. Now 50 plus sections, forget it. It is only divided into two parts. Out of 50, around 35 plus sections are here itself, and remaining 10 to 15 sections are here. Correct? Part A, Part B. Now, let me come to these 35 plus sections. These sections are covered in section numbers 30 to 37. Now somebody will say, sir, 30 to 37, ये 35 plus sections कैसे हो गया? Because you have 30, 31, 32, within 32 many subparts. Then you have 33, within 33 you have 33A, 33AB, 33B, etc., etc. Similarly, when you come to 35, again 35 has many subsections, plus 35 has many 35 A, B, C, D sections. So even though numbering wise it is only 30 to 37, but it has many sections. Now, what are all these sections talking about? All these sections are only talking about कि पीजीबीपी के डेबिट साइड में क्या आएगा क्या नहीं आएगा. दिस इज द क्वेश्चन विच वी ऑल आर लुकिंग आंसर फॉर, कि what will come on the PGBP debit side, this side. It is answered by 30 to 37, all these 35 plus sections. Now, as a student, when I started reading from section 30 to 37, first it took me more than 3 to 4 days because there were so many sections. And after the first day, when I started the second day, I kept forgetting the first day section. When I went to the third day, I kept forgetting the first 2 days sections, and I was frustrated. But in this meantime, when I was reading 30, when I went to 31, when I read to 32, then 33, so many sections, I was finding, yaar, kya boring chalu hai. Why boring? There is so much of repetition. वही चीज बार बार, वही चीज बार बार, वही चीज बार बार. So it was boring also, and maybe because it was boring, the next day I was not able to recall, क्योंकि जो चीजें interesting नहीं है वो हमें याद भी नहीं रही. बराबर? Just to make one thing clear, many of you may be thinking or rather believing that you are a dumb student. Many of you may be given that impression maybe by somebody around you, somebody from your school, college, or your classes, that you are not a brilliant student. Why? Because you cannot remember provisions, you cannot remember laws, you cannot remember formulae. And I'm sure you all also believing that I cannot remember. I'm a dumb student. Let me first break this myth. You are not dumb. There's nothing like dumbness in you. I'm not saying this to motivate you. I'm just saying this to make you realize something. And I will prove it. Being a person of taxation, everything depends upon proving. I cannot simply say something and the court will give the decision in my favor. I'll have to justify. So I'm justifying. You go and watch a movie, or you are sitting somewhere, you just come across a song. Only once you have seen the movie, once you have heard the song, and you remember the whole movie with dialogues, many times, especially girls, even with who was wearing what, with what combination, whether it was matching or not matching, everything you remember, despite of watching that 2.5 hour or plus movie for only one time. Listening to a song. Acha, interesting. I'll tell you one very interesting fact. Many times, songs, the words which you do not understand because they are other language words or they are very difficult words, still you remember them. Try to recall Bahubali picture. In Bahubali, many of these songs were having Sanskrit words. The entire song was Sanskrit, but still, maybe with 2 or 3 repetitions of the song, because the tune was very good, you could repeat the whole song. This proves there's no problem with this. The problem is only one. You are not able to connect to this. How you are able to connect to a movie, to a web series, or to anything which retains in your mind. Let us try to connect. That is why I always say try to connect. So when I studied so many sections, I also was not able to connect. I was not able to retain, and somehow I realized one thing कि यार कितना boring है, repeat है. But the moment I realized this कितना boring है क्योंकि कितना repeat है, so I said, if it is repeated, why I am studying these 35 sections separately? Can I combine these 35 sections into something one? Because it is repetitive. And Eureka. What came out? This. What is this? If you read these all sections 30 to 37, what are they telling you? कि भाई पीजीबीपी डेबिट साइड में क्या क्या आएगा, कौन कौन से एक्सपेंसेस आप पीजीबीपी डेबिट में ले सकते हो. What all expenses will come on the debit side of PGBP, and how have these sections identified what will come in the debit side? Simply, they have given 4 conditions. They say, you satisfy these 4 conditions, the item will come here. You satisfy this 4 condition, the item will come here. It will come, it will come. So somebody who was asking me, I think Nidhi, कि sir, how will I come to know कि what will come in PGBP? I will say just check these 4 conditions. These 4 conditions, I have called them as my 4 golden rules. Now then the second question evolved on me. If all these sections are giving these 4 golden rules, why there are different sections? Why they have made 35 sections? Why the list is constantly changing? Government is adding or deleting in that? The answer is, in some sections, they have not asked you to satisfy all 4. They have only asked you to satisfy 3. In some, they have asked you to satisfy only 2. That is, in those sections, 1 or 2 of these conditions are exceptions. No need to follow. No need to fulfill. So, answering the question why they have made 35 sections or even more, because for different expenses, they wanted to keep different conditions. In some expenses, they wanted to keep all 4. In some, they wanted to keep these 2. In some, they wanted to keep these 2. In some, they wanted to keep 3. In some, they wanted to keep only 1. So for different expenses, they wanted different conditions. Plus, for different expenses, they wanted some different calculation. So 2 things the lawmakers wanted to keep different. That is why they kept on making different sections. Where for 3-4 expenses, they wanted to keep everything same. The conditions also, the calculation also, they have kept it in one section only. So you'll find some sections where you will find a list of 3, 4, 5, 6 expenses in one section only. Why? For all those expenses, they want the same condition, same calculation. This is how I concised those around 50 plus pages of your module into only 2 to 3 pages of this A4 page. Because in these 3 pages, I have covered all 4 golden rules with their exceptions. So basically, what will come in PGBP debit side? Answer is simple. Let us say, taking practical example. What is commonly the first item in P&L? It is purchases. Then you have wages. Then you have rent, rates and taxes. Then you have depreciation. You have repairs and maintenance, printing and stationery, interest. All these are the items in P&L debit. Taken. In exam also, you'll be given same P&L with all these items. What you have to simply do is check whether this is satisfying those 4 conditions. Yes, it means it will come in PGBP. Satisfying 4 conditions, it will come in PGBP. Satisfying 4 conditions, it will come in PGBP. Now, one of this is not satisfying 4, it is satisfying only 3. Still, wait, it may still come in PGBP because maybe for that expense, all 4 are not required because one of the condition is exception. The lawmakers have said you satisfy only 3, 1 is exception to you, don't satisfy. So, for some expenses, you need to satisfy only 1, 2 or 3 of the conditions. You satisfy all 4 best. But even if you don't satisfy, still you can take that in the PGBP debit side. As simple as this is the 50 pages of your module. Yes, in some of these sections, some calculations we have to understand. In majority, the calculation is not there. It means whatever expense is given, take that. In few, like for depreciation, for preliminary expenses. In very few of these 35 plus sections, you are given some calculation. Bas. For others, they have not even given calculation. Whatever expense is given in accounts, you have to take the same amount. No calculation required. Only check the conditions. I hope this is clear to all. Now, I'll give you those 4 conditions, whom I have called as 4 golden rules. Now, maybe if somebody is thinking back end, कि अच्छा 4 conditions से मतलब कुछ तो बहुत technical होंगे. Let me tell you, they are the most simple logical conditions. Simple. हमें क्या चाहिए? I want to know कि what expenses I can take in PGBP debit side. The answer is check 4 conditions. What is the first condition? Check, is that expense related to business or something else? Obviously, logical condition. हम उसी खर्चे को लेंगे जो बिजनेस का है, because we are computing PGP income. What is not related to business, why will I take? So first, logical condition, it should be business expense. Second, again a very logical condition. PGBP is a revenue head of income. Anyways, we have only one capital or head of income, which is capital gains. All other heads of incomes are revenue. Now, for other incomes, there is no problem like HP, other sources, because I said that the format is rigid. You have to only take 1 or 2 or 3 items. But in PGBP, any number of items can come in the debit side. So they have given conditions. So what is the condition when you want to take any expense in the PGP debit side? The second condition is the expenses should be revenue in nature. In short, capital not allowed. But again, exceptions are there that we'll study next. So condition is capital not allowed. What you can take is revenue. So condition 1 related to business. Second condition, revenue in nature. Third condition, since we compute income every year, in this year's P&L, take this year's expense. Don't take past expense. Don't take future expense. Take only current year expense. Tell me, this is also so simple and logical. Because I have to compute every year's income separately, I should not mix expense of different years. It will be wrong. So in any one year, I should take expense only of that year. Nothing else. Are you getting this? And then comes the fourth condition. This is something different, but very simple again. Expenses should not be in the nature of an offense. Expenses should not be something which is forbidden by law. आप अगर कोई इलीगल काम कर रहे हो और इलीगल चीज को आप खर्चा दिखाओगे, not allowed. I cannot allow you to take illegal expenses. Like, I'll give you example. As for doing business, many times people pay bribe. People even give money to underworld people so that they get benefit in business. They get some special contract. Not allowed. For the purpose of business, you are doing smuggling because that helps in bringing some outside India goods without paying taxes or hiding it from government. You do smuggling. Now, when you get caught, you pay penalties. Now, what you do is, smartly, you say, okay, no problem. I've got caught, I've paid penalty. Let me show penalty as an expense and take deduction. Law says, sorry. What is illegal? What is forbidden? If you are doing any such thing, I will not allow you to take deduction. You may have paid that. It may be an expense. I don't care. No deduction in income tax. PGBP. Logical? Logical. So simple 4 conditions. 1, expenses related to business. 2, it is revenue. 3, it is current year. 4, it is not an illegal expense. Simple. Now, with this logic, check. You are given this P&L in your sum. Now in this P&L, the first most common expense given is purchases. अभी आएगा या नहीं यही देखना है ना. कि पीजीबीपी में आएगा या नहीं डेबिट साइड पे, चेक करो. इज इट business? Yes. Purchases of business goods? Correct. Second, is it revenue nature? Yes. These are the goods which I am doing, trading, buying, selling, so it is revenue. If this would have been capital goods, it will not come. Third, is this expense of current year? The purchases that I am taking, is it of current year or of past years? It is of current year. Correct. Take it. Fourth, whether incurring this expense is anything illegal, is it forbidden by any act or law? Answer is no. It is a business and it is legal expense. Take it here, allowed as deduction. Same as wages, same as rent rates, same as depreciation. For every expense, check. Is it related to my business? Is it revenue in nature? Is it current year? And fourth, whether spending this or doing this is illegal, forbidden by law. Once you check all this, answer is done. Any doubts up to this point? Students, respond. Good. Very good. Fine. Now, let me also take you to the exceptions. Exceptions means that some expenses will be allowed in PGBP even if you do not satisfy that condition. So it is exception. Even good. You don't have to satisfy that condition for that expense. So starting one by one. First logical point was you can take only those expenses which are related to business. Correct? Yes. What are the exceptions? That is, these expenses you can take even if they are not related to business. First such expenses, family planning expenditure. PGBP says that only if you are a company, you can take this expense, and they have given that specific section number which allows you to take that expense. So under section 36, subsection 1, clause 9, family planning expenditure is allowed as deduction to a company. But yes, if you are an individual or HUF or partnership firm, you cannot take this as deduction because it is not a business expense. Actually, it is not a business expense for anyone, but because of exception, I'm allowing company to take deduction. Similarly, interesting, scientific research. Now, if you want a simpler word for this, what we have been using in accounts, it is R&D, research and development. Now, importantly, there can be two types of R&D. One which is related to my business, one which is not related to my business. So let us say I am in the business of manufacturing tires. I'm MRF company. I'm C8 company. I'm manufacturing tires. Bhabha Atomic Research Center or ISRO, these are conducting research relating to space, whether there is life on Mars, whether there is water on moon, whether we can walk on moon, whether we can tomorrow go for vacation to moon, etc., etc. I give them some amount, I make payment to them for such research, which is not related to my business. Obviously, my business has nothing to do with space. Logically, this is not my business expense, but still, section 35, various subsections says that if I'm making payment to some outside means all these associations are outside to you, and these are approved by government. They are what? They are approved scientific research association, college, university, organization, national laboratory. Most important word is approved. Then the law says take this also as deduction, even though the research is not related to your business. Now, I'm sure in the minds of three people, what is ticking? Except others, all are fine. Three people are thinking, sir, kyun magar? Why is the law allowing deduction for such expense which has nothing to do with business? कुछ तो लॉजिक होना चाहिए. लॉजिक है. लॉजिक है. Nobhav, you are right. It is for national importance. Family planning, we all know population can be an asset and liability both. Presently, I think it is liability for a country like India. Our resources are depleted. We are not having that much per capita income. But maybe for a country like China, it is an asset, whatever. So every country wants that the population should not be exploding. Otherwise, there will be a lot of pressure on our resources. Some people may not even get proper basic amenities. So we want to control population, and how that is possible? Through family planning measures. Government is running at its level, but government found it so easy that instead of I reaching out to everyone, if I reach to one company who is having 1,000, 10,000, 1 lakh employees and ask the company to do the same thing which at government level I am doing, that is carry out activities for promoting the importance of family planning, how to do it, what are the plus and minus, why it is relevant. And when a company does it for its employees, country is benefited. Now, when the company is doing any such activity, it has nothing to do with the business of the company, but still the company is doing it. And the law says, since you are helping us in a national cause, though what you are doing is having no connection with your business, we allow you deduction. Same thing is for scientific research. We have made all these organizations, and that is why they are all approved. And they are conducting research. Somebody is in medical field, somebody is in your agriculture field, somebody is in your space field. We are having so many research centers. Majority of them are government owned. Even if not government owned, government has that control over them, that government has given them that special approval. Bharat Biotech, making vaccines, but for that continuous research is required. Firstly on what could be the new diseases, and then what could be their vaccines. So you fund them by making payment to them. Whatever they are researching has nothing to do with your business, but it is for national cause. Deduction allowed. Now in this, when you read the details of this section, over there, earlier, for different people to whom you are making payment for scientific research, there was different rate of deduction. Now it is best part for us as students. Now all this is removed, because earlier you were supposed to remember the names and along with the names the percentages. Now to whoever you pay, once that person is approved, remember this word, approved, you get deduction of the amount that you have paid. So 100% means whatever expenses or whatever payment you have done to all these scientific research associations which are approved, I'll give you the full deduction. So now the better part in this is you need not remember the names. Just one point. Again, we all know now there are two schemes, and now till now you have come across this point that many times a particular deduction which is allowed in old scheme is not allowed in the new scheme. We found this in salary chapter also, you found this in HP also, even in PGB. This particular deduction of scientific research where you are making payment to outsider and that has no connection with business. Most important. Scientific research not related to business, this deduction will not be allowed if you are in the new regime. So for new regime, which is also called as a default regime, deduction is not allowed. I hope this is clear. Third item in this category is donations. Now again, donations are always personal, nothing to do with business. You give anybody donation, which is your personal choice, which is a personal payment. Now for donation, what you have to understand and remember is, if in the question they have simply given the word, in panel they have written 2 donations, PGBP does not allow it. That is, it is not allowed to be taken in PGBP. Second, if the question says donations and they have given some section number, but the section number is any series of 80. So 80G, 80GGA, GGB, GGC. Please remember, this donation is again not allowed in PGBP head. PGBP does not allow you to take this on the debit side. It is not allowed as deduction. But yes, it is covered in some other chapter which you are going to study, which is called as deductions under chapter 6A. But anyways, right now for the business head will not allow this also. But any donation which is under section 35, and if you remember, I mentioned there are many subsections, there are many ABCD in 35. So don't bother for which section or subsection it is. Just remember section 35. If the sum says donation under 35 CCC, donation under 35 bracket 1 subclause 4, it is allowed in PGBP. Now again, somebody would like to know, sir, what is the logic? See, I've given names of few such donations which are covered in section 35. Donations for agriculture extension, for skill development, again the same reason. All these activities are for national cause, that is for national benefit, and hence when you are donating for this, they are allowing you deduction even though it has no connection with business. Yes, Ishan, you're right. Correct? So first category, we allow all business expenses, general rule. Exceptions, in 3 cases, we allow these expenses even if not related to business. Family planning, but only for companies. Scientific research, payment is made to outsiders who are approved by the government. Third, donations which are covered under section 35 only. Second rule was, your expenses should be revenue in nature. It means capital is not allowed. Again, exceptions. Again, in 3 cases, we allow capital expenditure also. Now, this is interesting. When I say I allow capital expenses also, it means in PGBP P&L, this can be debited. This is allowed as deduction in the PGBP P&L. Is this fine? Now, what are these capital expenses? Capital expenses for family planning, capital expenses for scientific research, and capital expenses for some special businesses, the list which you can read by yourself also under 35 AD, or later when we will study the theory part, we will also read this list. So there are some specific or special businesses, the list of which is given in 35 AD section. Any of those businesses you are doing, capital expenses allowed. Scientific research, where you are doing the research yourself. See, above point was where you are making payment to outsider. Here now, you have your own research facility, you have created a laboratory, you have brought in machines for doing research. All these are capital expenses, debit to P&L. In PGBP, allowed. You can take it in the debit side of PGBP. And companies who are allowed deduction for family planning, as we saw above, for them, if the expense is revenue, take it full. If it is capital, we are allowing it, but in 5 installments. So 1/5 over 5 years. Perfect. Third is expense should be of current year. So logical point is what? it means I will not allow you expense of last year or expense of future year. But again, exception. In some cases, I will allow expenses of future year, and that is only one item. Now see, how do you show future year expense? We create a provision for future year expense or loss. Now, when you are creating provision for any future year expense or loss, it is not allowed except one. What is that? Gratuity provision. However, this gratuity provision will be allowed subject to conditions which we are going to study in 40A7. So see, everything I don't want to overburden you in one day, because if I try to explain more in one day, things will go haphazardous. Not required. Today, at least you should know the names. So, gratuity provision, which is for a future, it is a future year expense provision, we will still allow you. Correct? Now, coming to past year expense. So when I say I allow only current year expense, it means I will not allow you past year expense. So what you have spent in the past year, you should take deduction in the past year. You cannot take it in the current year. This is the rule, exceptions. So these expenses were spent in the past year, but you can take deduction now. In short, you can debit it in P&L now. First is again same plan, family planning. Which one? That 1/5 capital. You may have purchased the capital asset 2 years back. So it is a past year expense. But because of that 1/5, you can take it in 5 years. So even in the current year, you are allowed that 1/5, though you have not spent that amount in the current year, it was done in past. Same thing happens with preliminary expenses. See, all preliminary expenses are those which are incurred in past. But if you remember in our previous session on HP, where we were discussing pre-construction interest, I had explained that all these expenses till your business has started, till you start producing and selling your goods, you do not prepare P&L. And if you're not preparing P&L, all these expenses you write under the name preliminary, you keep on accumulating it. And when the business starts, you apportion it in some number of years. Same thing happens here. So where scientific research comes, many times the research has to be done even before starting of business, so that you can invent something new for which you will be doing the business. Same like vaccine. We first invented the vaccine, then they started producing and selling it. So all the expenses that they incurred was preliminary. So for scientific, preliminary expenses is allowed. Similarly, even generally also, like what you study in accounts, we are given preliminary expenses. These are covered in various sections, 35D, 35DD. So all these are also allowed as deduction. Again, how? By spreading it over 5 years. So what you may have spent before start of business, you can take the deduction now, spread it over 5 years. For mining people, their preliminary expenses, they are allowing in 10 years. These are some cases of preliminary expenses which are allowed as deduction. These two, again, we will cover in the next section, because it is again linked to some other sections which you do not know yet. But accepting these two, what is the rule? I will only allow you expense of current year. But in one case, I will allow you expense of future, that is provision for future gratuity. And in few cases, I will allow past year's expense to be taken as deduction in the current year. And then the last point, only those expenses which are legal, that is, which are not prohibited by any law, which are not for doing any offense, only those are allowed. So what will not be allowed? Expenses like bribe, payment to underworld people, or penalties for offenses, that is illegal activities like smuggling, tax evasion. But in this, people get confused. That is why I've given one more list. Students generally remember only one word. Penalty means not allowed. Sorry. Penalties only for offenses, for illegal activities will be disallowed. But where you have to pay some penalty, but that is for normal mistakes. See, when you're doing business, many times you end up breaching a contract. Breaching a contract is not illegal. I had promised you that I will pay you this much amount, you do this. For some reasons, I did not fulfill my promise. You went to the court asked me to pay liquidated damages, I paid. But what I did was breach of contract. Similarly, Government gave me some facilities, some subsidies, but it asked me to fulfill some conditions that you do this, this, this. Somehow I could not fulfill. So later on, government came and imposed some penalty. Similarly, I was given some export target I could not fulfill. So some penalty was levied on me. But these are not offenses. So as students, many times we only remember one catchy word, penalties. Sorry, when I say here expenses which are forbidden will not be allowed, it will not cover the penalties where the penalty is levied only for some mistake which happens in normal running of business. It is not an illegal action like breaching of contract, not being able to fulfill some condition. These are not breaching of expense, a breaching of law. So, four conditions and these exceptions. Once you understand, remember this, 35 plus sections are covered. Yes, out of these 35 plus sections, few sections have some calculations, but that is later on. First, you should know the names. But for that, you need not read that 35 sections. Now I'm telling you the best part of this. You need not read the 35 sections. No need to read, no need to learn the names, what are given in those 35 sections. Simply remember these four rules and the exceptions. Best part. Just remember the four rules. If you are able to remember and apply the four rules, and in P&L you are given the names, just keep on reading the names of the expense, check whether four conditions are satisfied. Yes, take the expense. Anubhav beta, why you are unnecessary complicating? You have to read everything. Don't unnecessarily complicate things. When I'm saying this, there is no need of reading. What I'm trying to tell you is, I have given you some golden rules. But beta, please appreciate one thing. You are still in the egg of income tax. At least once in life, you have to read everything in the law. But for exam point of view, I'm saying that you will be able to answer even without the need of remembering those 35 sections. Is this fine? Great. So students, we have started or we have got into the depth of PGBP. And this is how you will be able to remember everything in PGBP. Yes, certain things you'll find easy because it will be connecting easily. Certain things you'll have to take efforts, but that is part and parcel. We are at the professional level. So that's it all for today, students. Please keep reading. Maybe immediately tomorrow, day after, that is on this weekend, again go through this lecture again. This will help you consolidate the concepts because maybe in one lecture listening to so much, even though it is easy, at one point of time it may become heavy. So no problem. Go back, revisit this again and keep reading the module. You will find things now much more connecting than what it was when you read earlier. Yes, Vishnu.
So my question is this. So previously you have said that if someone is forget to record the bad debts and now some after years it is recovered. So it looks like it is a tool of a tax evasion
How can it be
because
tool
there
of
is
tax
not a
evasion, beta?
so
Because
because
had
there is
you
a
wait, had you recorded the bad debts, that year's income would have reduced. Na? You would have saved the tax, na? Right? Hello. If you would have shown the bad debts in the past year, the net profit of that year would have reduced. Correct?
yes sir.
And if it would have reduced, you would have paid less tax.
Yes sir.
But by not debiting it, you showed higher profit, paid higher tax.
Yes sir.
So now in the next year, when it is recovered and you are not showing it, how you are doing tax evasion? You have already paid that higher tax.
Sir.
Correct?
Yes sir.
Good.
Sir, please can you explain the expenses which are revenue nature, but it is a capital expenses one times.
Bro, how
Sir,
can I explain you what is revenue and capital? I think it is 11th standard
in the
accounts. Now,
slide.
what is revenue? What is
No,
capital?
no, sir. Yes. Yes, sir, I understood.
Yes, Kinari beta.
Good evening, sir.
Very good evening. Beta. Tell me.
My question was, if in case of PNL which is given in the question, if the penalty it is only mentioned as penalty, it
Then
has
you have to
no.
make assumption, beta. You have to write assumption. At this level, many times you both alternative answers are accepted, but condition is usually write that in the note. That since
In the
only
note
penalty is given, yes, it is assumed that it is relating to offense, hence it is disallowed.
Okay, okay, thank you, sir.
So that's it all for today, students. I will be uploading this notes. I purposefully did not upload it earlier. So, because again, uploading without explaining again, that would have created a lot of stress. But don't worry. Now things are within your control. At least it is within your understanding range. So now again, read the module. Please watch this session again. It will definitely be a whole different thing than what it was before the start of today's session. Please keep studying. Please take efforts, because the more you put in efforts, the more you move towards specialization and expertise. Thank you very much. Take care and keep studying. Thank you. Thank you very much all. Done, sir. Done. Thank you. Good night. Very good.